Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We love having you here on the show as Christian MacLeod is going to join us momentarily to talk some cryptids and paranormal. He's a good guy and he wears good socks. He wears very good socks. Dirty Filth is here as well with another cartoon as we head into double overtime here. Playoff hockey. All right, we got Race Fan in the gold medal position. Tim Othman in his goatee sharing a silver. CJ Berry with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Paramarv, Michael Morris, Deidre. How you doing? Good to see you. Robin Haynes in the chat room. She'll be back for the Cryptid report later as well. Luscious Jules is here. Luscious Jules will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Hi, JSCO. Andrew the Trucker. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And who else do we have? Lee the Bee and Paul Demon. Brown Dwarf, Michael Fontaine, and Human Carl. Thank you for coming on in. Thank you for your great service to the United States Air Force, Human Carl. We very much appreciate it. Moving on down, T-Bone, my man. Mama Susan, how you guys doing? Hello there, Sandra Kincaid. What's happening? Mama Catherine. Mwah! I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night. Hi, Richard Steele. Rough Rider, the Watermelon Head. How you doing? Good to see you. And who else do we have here? Number 74 in your program, starting in goal tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is, everybody. Okay, moving on here, we got Thomas Rock. How you doing, bud? And who's next? Audacious Amber. Good to see you. Audacious Amber. We'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Paramarv, Kathy Evans, Dirt Road is back. Where have you been hiding? Hi, Chef Chris, W. David Page, Eye on the World. Welcome to SOR Chat. Digger Dog, my man. What's happening? Hope you're having a good night. Lil Cam over on Twitch. He's all excited because I accepted his friend request on Facebook. Yes, I did. So he went and bench pressed 385 pounds 27 times just to burn off that excitement. Little Robbie Minhas, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. Ron Baca, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Vanessa. Nikki Williams, it's been a while. Good to see you. You're looking awesome. Operation Shutdown. Aloha, Dave. Sightings on 18 Wheels, welcome back. As we continue on with roll call here. Algaray over on Twitch just curled 85 pounds 57 times. Yep, he's in shape. Got big biceps. Gamer Quest, good to see you. And Puck Elf, thank you for coming on in. Good morning, Skip to Malou. Sierra from Victoria, how you doing? Thunderhead, good to see you again. And Tim in the Backwoods, thank you for coming on in. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hi, Abbott Hoffman, Jamie Cotterill, Rose Demaray, thank you for joining us. And purple-haired Pixie Lara, along with Phil the Stalker. Good to see you. All right. Richard Hauser and Pam Harris, thank you for joining us. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us as we are in the middle of roll call as we await Christian MacLeod hanging out with us doing a great show on paranormal and cryptids. Dirty Filth is here with another cartoon as Bill WD-40 has officially entered the chat room. He is currently lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want rigidness. That's uncomfortable. Nice and smooth, and that's what Bill does best, lubing us up. All right, let's continue on with our roll call tonight. Dizzy F. and Reed, how you doing? Joe Kirk, how's it going? Thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, Chris C., welcome to SOR Chat. Killing Reality, good to see you. Hi, Robert Lamoth. And I think we're caught up there. Remember, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very much in advance. As well, don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. We try and keep it nice. Things that you actually want to wear out in public. All right, we just got a couple seconds here before we are going to launch, and we're going to have a great show tonight. So do me a favor, throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America. Thank you for tuning us on in. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help them make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show coming at you tonight. It's all monsters, it's all paranormal, all cryptids. Investigator and researcher Christian MacLeod is going to be here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing joins us with another creepy story. Robin Haynes has the Crypted Report. It's Dave 101 night, and we'll have the weird news of the week. All right, let's get right to it because I've been waiting for a while to have this guy on the show. At least a month. It's been a whole month. Christian MacLeod is a cryptid guy. He's the founder, director, and lead investigator of the Asheville Cryptid Society. With over 20 years of experience investigating cryptids and paranormal activities, with a passion for studying and preserving the Native American tribe culture, folklore, and legends, he also knows about dealing with topics such as the occult, UFOs, and forbidden archaeology. Christian holds a bachelor's level degree in psychology and a minor in criminology from the University of South Florida, as well as continuing his higher education by working towards dual master's degrees in American history and education through Western Carolina University. His website, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com. Christian MacLeod, good to have you on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How you doing, my friend?
I am so excited to be here, my friend. And it's just good to be around good people who are intelligent enough to have me as a guest. So thank you.
Well, I mean, dude, you were the fourth offer.
I was.
Yeah.
I thought it was fifth. Fifth.
No, fourth. It was fourth.
Right. I'll take it.
I have to say, I just met you at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference a month ago. And, dude, you are one of these people who it's like I've known my entire life. And it's very rare you get the opportunity to actually meet someone like that. But, man, you know, your sense of humor and the way you are and just everything, it was like a mirror image of who I am. At least I try to be. So it was such a great time and an immediate friendship and getting to know you. And what a pleasure.
Oh, man, Dave, that means a lot, man. Because I'll tell you, I feel the same way. And what made me laugh was it's hard to find someone who's got the same sense of humor. And that's, you know, once you achieve that, then everything else is easy. And I felt the same way. You know, it was funny because we had some strange things happen to us over there. And it was just, you know, we both just started cracking up. No matter what happened, we just started laughing. And that's kind of the way you got to look at life, you know, just take the the rough and the smooth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just do the best you can. And I kind of take that attitude into my cryptid and paranormal research as well. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why we get along so well.
Well, it was a good time, and I can't wait to meet up with you again. And hopefully, we're going to get you up here to British Columbia later this summer to come take a tour of some hauntings and cryptid locations that we have up here.
Well, I am very much looking forward to it. In fact, I've already started blocking off some time about mid-late summer, so we can discuss that off air. But we definitely need to get together up there. It'll be a blast.
Oh, for sure. How did you get involved with all of this?
I'm originally from a small town in Maine, and when I was a kid, a real young kid, I went for a walk with my grandfather, and pretty much in northern Appalachia, and we were walking for a little bit, and he just looked down, and we saw this massive footprint in the mud. It was just huge. And I remember as a little kid putting my foot next to it. It was dwarfing mine. But my grandfather had a pretty decent sized shoe, and he put his next to it, and it was just dwarfing his. And he just looked at me. My cousin was with me. He grabbed both of us, and he goes, I'll never forget. It's the first time I heard the term. He goes, "The boss of the woods," and we started going back to the house. In fact, he picked up my other cousin, and we just kind of started trotting back. And he kind of put that little spark in me. Now, unfortunately, he died a few years after that, so I never really got to discuss that with him. But when I learned is after World War II, he spent 1.5 years in Alaska, just kind of calming his mind, I guess. And I'm willing to bet he probably had a few sightings of something to pick up that term, because it only, pretty much describes one thing. And I think that's where my interest really started. But of course, I'm old enough to have watched all the old Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of, and of course the Boggy Creek Monster, things like that. So I've always had an interest in it. And then the paranormal just kind of fell into play with it as well.
Now, for someone as a kid who sees this giant footprint, you put your foot inside of it, and you when you're a grandpa, you're invincible. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
At
yeah.
least I was with my grandpa, and I'm sure you were too. And you all of a sudden see this, and grandpa grabs you. What goes through your mind as that little child wondering what's going on?
It wasn't. I knew there was something wrong because I'd never seen him like concerned before. I mean, this is a guy. He's a World War II vet. He'd been shot. He was a pilot. He was a bad guy. He was just awesome. He was a tough guy. And to see him a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little nervous too, because I'm like thinking to myself, well, what made that? That's what I started thinking. And then when we started leaving at a pretty good pace, I knew there was something going on, but I wasn't sure whether or not to be scared or just mildly aware of what was going on. But I definitely knew there was something going on. And then when we got home, he put me and my cousin down, and he grabbed my dad and my uncles, and they went in the other room. And I really don't know what they were talking about, but I'm sure they had a discussion about what was in there.
It's one of those things that could really change a childhood when you see something that even scares the people who you idolize. Now, you grew up like this. You grew up knowing you saw something. And did it pique your curiosity, or was there a little bit of a fear that you needed to push forward and just really, figure out what it was?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not. I don't know how to explain this. I'm pretty stupid because I don't really get fear. I have a healthy fear, but of my mother and the IRS. So I'm not really scared of things that go bump in the night or things in the woods. So when I see something like that, I kind of want to chase it down just to get answers. It's just, I guess it's the detective in me. I just want the answers. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what it is. So I'm not smart enough to have a healthy fear of things like that, if that makes sense. So what it does is just it just drives me to investigate more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that, and I'm learning that. If you were, that age, though, being a child, I mean, we're not really supposed to know what is going on. We're not
Right.
really supposed to, have those type of monsters in our lives. That's kind of one of the things our parents protect us from nightmares and all sorts of imaginatory conversations that we have as children. Yet here we go, and you have this experience with your family, and it's led you to who you are today. Did you think that one little encounter would put you on a path, 40 some years later, in order to try and find out what these cryptids really are?
Absolutely not. I never would have thought that would have done. I think, but I never really thought about it. I think it was just something I started studying and looking into, and it just, how you can get obsessed with this, and and you of all people know how that works. You start, obsessing on the paranormal or the supernatural or the cryptids. You just get as much information as you can, and it doesn't seem like an obsession to you. So it becomes just something you just want answers for, or it becomes basically a hobby. And I think it probably impacted me a lot more than I realized until many many years later. But that's probably, it's probably an event that shaped my life. I never really thought of it that way. If I feel like I'm getting psychoanalyzed here, so thanks, Dave. I'll send you a check, man. I'm sorry. I should have let you know. But we'll see. You get a good job as a shrink.
Hey man, I'm trying. But you look at the way that everything kind of planned out, in your life. I mean, you're an educated man, you're somebody who has studied psychology, you're a teacher by trade, you work with people on a daily basis, and yet you have this other side to you that is chasing down monsters and legends. How do you combine the two? How do you keep, your daytime reality from your nighttime fix of needing to go look for cryptids and monsters?
Well, it's. I want to say it's almost like having a secret identity, but everyone knows who I am. But it sometimes they get interwoven. And when I go to work, I'm all about doing my job. The cryptid guy stuff stays, out of the classroom. But sometimes, I'll have some of my students bring some questions up or bring things to me, and we discuss it. But I look at it a very scientific method. Like I want people to. I'll present the evidence that I have, and it's make up your mind. I'm not going to sit there and definitely say, hey, this is absolutely what this is. There's nothing else it can be. It's interpret the information I give you and then, make up your own mind. And I try to bring that along with everything I do and my research and in my teaching arena. It's, and sometimes 9 times out of 10, they're very, very separate, but every once in a while, they'll just intertwine, especially like if I do a conference or something like that, and the kids are aware of it. They'll bring in pictures or they'll bring in like spots from TV or stuff like that, and they'll use them, or they'll have me as a screensaver on their Chromebook, which is very flattering. And of course, placating my ego is very healthy for their grades. So, it's just stuff like that. But for the most part, I just try to keep it separate. But every once in a great while, they will intertwine.
How much fun do you have doing this? Going
Well,
out, being a paranormal investigator, being a someone who is a monster hunter, because I'll be honest with you, the title Monster Hunter is pretty damn cool.
well, I mean, most people don't realize, it's all research based. When someone calls the 800 number and we get a report, we start the research. And when we start the research, I'm a firm believer, and I know you are too, but you have to know as much about a specific area and location, about the history of the area. You just have to know as much as possible. And then, you put boots on the ground and start, because I think that gives you a healthy perspective of what was going on there, what's really been going on there. Has this issue been around for a long time? Is it something new? Has it been reported before? Things like that. So a lot of the time it's a lot of research. And then, the fun stuff starts, when you start doing like your investigative work and checking out the area. Every once in a while, you get lucky and you'll get evidence, or you'll get growled at, or something will pop up on infrasound. But it's, for the most part, if I'm being honest with you, man, it's kind of boring. It's just a lot of reading and a lot of research. But there are those times when, the old adrenaline starts pumping, and that's usually when something cool is going on. So it's one of those things where it's 90% probably research, and then 10% boots on the ground.
I want to ask you this, since you've had your experience as a child, when was your next experience that you had? Did it open up your world to other phenomena?
I think, I think it did. I think it gave me a sense of, it gave me an open mind. I'm like, because if this is possible, and I've seen something like this, or I've been through that, or I've heard of that, then what else is possible? And I think that gave me an open mind. And probably the next time I saw something, I was driving on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I saw a Dogman, cynocephali. So that had been quite a while, and we're talking probably.
Hold on a second. Tell us about that experience, seeing Dogman.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was driving on the Blue Ridge Parkway with my ex, and she was sleeping, and we were completely lost. I was driving up this slight bend of a hill that had a left incline, and I looked down, and I thought I was looking at one of the biggest bears I'd ever seen in my life. This thing was massive. And then I realized it had basically a dog's head. And then it made eye contact with me, and I just kind of started staring at it. I almost drove off the road. I slowed down to about 3 miles an hour, and I'm just staring at this thing, and it was just so massive. I have nothing to compare it to. The only thing I can ever say, it looks kind of like a comic book villain that's just completely jacked up, just completely muscular, huge arms, huge neck, huge legs. But it was sitting like on its haunches on a boulder with a log next to it. And it was massive, but it looked young. And as it's looking at me, a bumblebee flew by, and it breaks its gaze off and it starts looking at the bumblebee. You know how a puppy looks at somewhere, turns its head and kind of does that and that? It did that. And I was like, what the heck is that? And, as I was driving, I just ran out of line of sight, and it kind of vanished. But I remember thinking to myself, what did I just see there? It's impossible. There's no way those because up to that point, I knew Bigfoot was a real thing, but I never thought Dogman or cynocephali was real. I always thought it was misidentifications. But when I saw that was basically an eye opener. That really got me back into the field of investigating hardcore. That was a very interesting time. But I will say this. I was a little bit, upon reflection, I was a little bit insulted because this entity or this creature was more interested in the bumblebee than I was. So,
Upon reflection of everything, tell our listeners what it's like to all of a sudden see this massive creature right in front of you, right with your very eyes, because, so many times we hear of these commonalities between stories of people having experiences, but we never get to feel what the person goes through. What was going through your mind? How are you feeling at this point?
It's like terror, an adrenaline rush. You're inquisitive. You're scared, but you're not sure how scared you should be. And you're curious, but your brain is kicking in, basically saying fight or flight, go, go, go. And it's an adrenaline rush. It really, really is. But then you want more, because you're like, did I really see that? I have to go back and see that. Is it real? Am I going crazy? And that's kind of what it's like. It's just one of those things. I'm sure it's different for most people, or everyone's got probably a different outlook on it. Excuse me, but that was mine. I still can't believe just looking over and seeing that thing. I'll just never forget that. And as big as it was, the thing that get the size of this thing. I mean, you could see the arms, you could see the I mean, it was just massive, and you could see it had the haunches because it was sitting on them, and it was just massive, massive. And but I mean, I'm not gonna lie here and lie to you and say, oh, I wasn't scared at all. No, I mean, there was a part of me that was terrified, but it was kind of overridden by the interest.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. I mean, I think it depends on what your personality type is. For me, it was just a combination of everything. I've heard some people say they were just horrified, or that they thought they were having a stroke, or blah blah blah. I've heard some people tell me, "Oh, I was going to jump out of the car and go get him, give him a hug," which I don't believe. Anyone that tells you that there's no fear when they see a cryptid, or or when they see anything paranormal, I kind of, I gotta wonder. That's just me.
I can understand that. We got about 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour here. Christian MacLeod is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Christian, how did you figure out how to investigate for these type of creatures? Because you're not only looking for monsters, you're also looking for ghosts as well.
Lots of reading and lots of practice. And I think you can agree with this, spending a lot of money on equipment that was going to work or was not going to work. And until you bought it and used it, you weren't going to know. I mean, it's just kind of how it goes. I think when you start doing this, of course, you read other people's works, you watch YouTube, you watch, of course, movies are great, but it's not realistic. But basically, I was lucky enough to befriend some really good paranormal investigators. So one of my closest friends, a guy named Joshua P. Warren, he taught me a ton about paranormal stuff. The cryptid stuff, I was very lucky to have some mentors when I was younger. Tim Kumbo Baker, he's been invaluable to me. He's been a dear friend over the years, and I still talk to him and ask him his advice on stuff. But I think a lot of it, honestly, is just trial and error. And the other thing is you can't be an armchair quarterback. You got to get out there and do it. I think a lot of problems in the cryptid world is we have so many armchair quarterbacks that they act like they're out there, they'll pretend to be researching, but the truth is all they're doing is getting on the computer. And that's fine if you're honest about what you're doing, but don't sit there and say, well, we found this, we found that. I mean, I think you and I have both seen evidence of that recently, where people act like they're out in the bush all the time, and the truth of the matter is they're not. They're just kind of putting stuff together and running with that ball. So I think it's all trial and error. You just got to find what works for you. I use
1 minute to go. What was your biggest mistake that you learned from in the field?
Relying on gimmicks and gadgets. Never ever rely on a gimmick or a gadget. Always trust your instincts. I remember one time I was using a meter, and it kept pinging, and I just kept following it, and ended up basically being underground cable. But it took me about 1.5 miles in the middle of nowhere, and just completely wasted my time. And I was just so excited that it kept pinging. But then I looked at the setting, and it was on electrical, and then realized my mistake. But it's just stuff like that. You got to live and learn. And I make mistakes all the time. Sometimes, I'll read a map wrong, or we'll take a left instead of a right. But that's just the way it is. It's just one of these things where you got to just pay attention to what's going on and make it work for you. Everyone's going to have a different way of being, their specific type of detective or investigator. And I think a lot of it's just trial and error. And honestly, a lot of it is a scientific method.
Christian MacLeod is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. as we start talking more cryptids, monsters, Bigfoot, ghosts, and more with Christian MacLeod coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. Don't we get to see your beautiful face on camera, Christian?
Oh, dude, no, because I look like shit right now.
Oh,
It's midnight. It's past midnight my time, man. It's bedtime for me. I'm sitting in my bed.
I hear you.
You got a good picture of me up there. I like the way you use. I like the one you used. It was cool.
Oh, yes.
I talked to Robin. She's excited about being on for the Cryptid Report.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what my son is doing in here. It's past his bedtime.
He wants to see what Dad's doing.
They can't see you. You're not waving in the camera.
I saw him.
There you go.
Hey, buddy.
Did you say hi to everybody?
Looks like you got a replacement if you're sick.
Yeah. Okay, let go. Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. Yeah. Farts hard. He's a good kid.
Oh, he's got a good dad. He's a lucky boy. That's right. Yeah. Treat your old man right, kid.
Yeah, he treats me pretty well. I beat him in hockey.
Overtime winner!
Yes! Yes, high five. That's right. He got me this jersey for my birthday.
I like it. Nice.
Yeah. He was pretty pumped up to give it to me. And I love it. I love it. I've always wanted an Edmonton Oilers jersey, and my boy comes through. What do you think of my jersey, Dirty Filth?
It's got a nice blue and copper color to it.
Yes, it does.
Did you put SOR on the back?
No, it's a McDavid jersey.
Right as I heard that the Oilers won in overtime, I rushed to tell him.
That's why we love you, buddy. Keeping me up to date, doing your good Canadian thing, watching playoff hockey. Yep. That's how you grow to be a man.
Accidentally didn't. Well, my grand got it, and she didn't get to see one, but it's okay. It's still Connor McDavid.
That's right. I appreciate it. Give me a hug. I love you. Okay. Off to bed, dude. You got to head to bed. You got school in the morning.
I just call him in sick.
Well, no. If I got to go to work, he's got to go to school.
Yeah,
I'll call you in sick, Dave.
Yeah. What's that? What's that, Christian?
I said if he has to go to school and you have to go to work, that's only fair. You know, unless you should take him fishing. Just take both days off and go fishing. You know,
maybe. Yeah, full moon on the birthday. Thank you for reminding me, Nikki. That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Did not know that. High Necessary Dialogue. Good to see you. Who else is joining us here? It's really weird to be having all of you on the East Coast say happy birthday because I still have 2.5 hours to go yet on my end. New York Knicks colors. This is a real sport here, sweet Robbie G. Hey, Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you. What are you doing? Oh, for Rough Rider. Yeah, pass that here. Pass that here for a second.
Should I make him put on this watermelon hat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rough Rider, this is for you.
nice.
Dave will be 51. Dave will be 51 at 11:30 tomorrow morning.
It goes quick, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. But it's amazing. Every year I get more handsome.
It's true. Distinguished. You're distinguished, man. Nothing you can do. It's all in the genetics.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Rough Rider, another Saskatchewan fan sent this to me. Faze Will, thank you. Big thank you to all of our super chatters tonight. We got FaZe Will. We got Gizmo. We got Greg in Thailand. T-Bone, my man. W. Decker and Joe Kirk. Thank you for the loves. Hi, Laura Lee Snyder. Happy birthday, neighbor. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Yeah, I need your subscription there. All right. I got my hair cut today. I can't have a Saskatchewan Rough Riders hat ruining my hair. All right. Okay, bud. Up you go. Give me a hug. You got to get ready for school.
I want to stay. I want to stay, Father.
If your mom
Come on,
gets mad,
Faja.
Dirty Filth, where's Blob?
All the cats are still outside because it's still nice out.
Oh, yes. All right, here we go, everybody. Here we go, the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you earning or listening, or us earning your listening ears, I should say. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Christian MacLeod is here. He is a paranormal and cryptid investigator from American Cryptid and Paranormal Society out of Asheville. I think that's Tennessee.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I should have known that. I should have known. And you know how I should have known that? Is because when I covered sports radio back in the day, a pitcher from Vancouver who got drafted in the first round by Colorado, he started his minor league career in Asheville.
He's a tourist. I go to the tourist games at least once a week. I love them.
Yeah, man. Love minor league baseball.
Oh, I love it too. It's awesome. The tourists are a great team. I have my Crash Davis hat that I wear. Love it.
Right on. Right on. I want to ask you, how often do you try and get into the field?
At least once or twice a week, at least. During the summer, I'll go in 5, 6, 7 days in a row. You know, I spend as much time out there as possible. But in reality is it depends on whether it's paranormal or cryptid, because the paranormal stuff, you know, you and I both know how long that can take. When you're looking in the cryptid area, it's real easy to go out and kind of look at the evidence and see if there's any signs or you know, markings or tree glyphs or footprints or anything like that. But when you're doing the paranormal stuff, sometimes you have to, you know, wait for the right time and the right moment, and then it's worth it. But it's time consuming, Dave. You know, it just takes time. So I mean, it can be as much as I can spend researching and investigating is what I do. That's all I can say, because it kind of goes year round with me. Like, I don't stop because there's winter. That's usually we'll pick up and do more research, or we'll start doing more paranormal. And then when it's time like this time of year, we'll start doing more and more cryptid research. We've got 2 or 3 things lined up for this weekend already. In fact, I'm supposed to do something with PBS on Saturday. They want to see what like an investigation looks like. So I'm going to be taking them to a little spot I go to, but it's not going to be, you know, that big of a deal, because I don't want to scare anyone. So it just depends on what particular time of year it is and what we're looking at specifically at that time of year. But
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say but it seems to be a little seasonal for us. The cryptid research is more spring, summer, fall. Paranormal's 24/7, 365. You know, that's just the way it is.
Tell us about your closest encounter with a cryptid being.
My associate, a guy named Daniel Tiny Hurst, and I were in one specific area that we'd been in a few times, and we looked over, and there was this massive black, for lack of a better word, creature, kind of slowly going down the hill in front of us, but it was hiding behind trees. And at first, when I saw it, I thought it was just a shadow of something else. I didn't really think it was anything to be really concerned about. And my buddy Tiny looks at me and goes, "What's that?" And I said, "I don't know, but it was big." He goes, "Yeah, I saw that." He goes, "What is this?" I said, "I'm not sure." Well, about 2 seconds after he says that, we see this massive clawed hand come around a tree, this oak tree, and it stands up and looks at us. And it was this massive Dogman. It was just huge. And it started growling on us. At that point, we had what I like to refer to as a Charmin moment. And we tried to get out of there as quickly and calmly as possible. And that was a pretty, that was close enough. When you get growled at by something like that, you don't forget it. It was like you could feel it. It was like resonating in your chest. And that's probably the closest time we've ever been to something that I thought wanted to do us harm. I thought that thing was going to kill us. I thought we were going to be lunch. I did not think we were getting out of that alive. To this day, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah.
When something that big growls at you, and you know it's within striking distance, like within 50 yards, where it can be on you in like 2 seconds, it is completely earth-shaking within your body. It's nuts, man, how it feels and what your body goes through. You're not sure what's going to happen or what you should do at that exact moment, man.
Well, and Dave, I'm going to tell you straight up. I carry, everyone on my team, we have concealed weapons permits, and we go through training and we carry guns. That's the first time in 26 years of investigating I pulled my gun. And when I pulled it and pointed it at it, I hate saying this because I know it sounds so cliche, but I got the impression it knew what that was. And it just kind of went back behind the tree. But then we started backpedaling out of there. I mean, it's something like, if I start thinking about it, I still get goosebumps. But the way that thing resonated, or that growl, like, I mean, it's like your ears my ears started ringing. That's how it was. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know if it was infrasound. I don't know. It was just such a loud sound. The truth of the matter is, I just remember it was. You ever lick a 9-volt battery and you get that taste in the back of your mouth, like that feeling?
Yes.
Like it was kind of like that. That's how I can explain it. It was terrifying, but that's what we wanted. I just didn't want it mad at us, and for some reason, it seemed very mad. And that
They always
I don't know. The first time I saw one, I was in a car. It didn't seem mad. It was more interested in the bumblebee than me. I'm still not over that. But, this one was a little different. This one seemed like it didn't want us around. And it was not shy about showing it.
Wow. How close were you?
Maybe 30 feet.
Oh, my. Yeah, that's definitely within striking distance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, here's the other thing. I mean, if it wanted us, we would have been dead. These guys that say they're all these tough guys and act like they're tough, and I'm a bad blah blah blah, and I wish one would come for me. That's how you can tell they've never had an encounter.
Oh, I hear you.
Anyone says anything like that, they're full of it. It's like, dude, I don't care who you are. John Wayne would have been shaking in his boots. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's just it's just basic human nature. You're gonna see something like that, and you're gonna have a little uh-oh moment, or as I like to call them, the Charmin moment. So it's incredible, it's awe-inspiring, but it also makes you realize that you're not the biggest, baddest thing out there. And I tell you something, I know it sounds kind of corny, but you have respect for this entity or this creature, because you realize if it was really mad, there's nothing you could do, because it's either going to rip you apart, eat you, or just kill you. If it wanted to. If it wanted to.
It's amazing how small you can feel in the forest when something like that happens.
Well, we just took I just took the kids on some of my students on a field trip, and we saw a black bear, and the first thing they said was, "Oh my God, look how big that thing is!" And people have no idea what how, and especially where you are. I mean, everything's huge up there. They get the size of a moose or a grizzly bear and all that. People have no idea how massive these things are until they see them. So I think when they see a cryptid or they actually get the encounter, if you have a real encounter, the first thing they'll constantly harp on it. I can't believe how big that thing was. I can't believe something that big could move that fast. I can't believe something that big can move that fast and be so quiet. That's usually what you'll hear. So
people have to realize, like even with a moose, they may look clumsy and everything, but those creatures can literally, destroy a fully loaded semi truck on impact.
That's and walk away, and literally walk away.
Yeah, it's incredible how things like that happen. Tell us a story about your area of why you investigate there.
Well, Appalachia, I investigate in the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are the oldest mountains in the world. And there's stuff in these mountains, people just, there's stuff and there's areas of these mountains that people just are completely unaware of. I think I've been in places 6 miles, 7 miles in the middle of the woods, and everything just stops working. And when I mean stops working, we'll have complete failure on everything electric. I've been in places where the compass will just start spinning. We've had equipment failure to the point where the car radios don't work. I'm a ham radio operator, so I keep a shortwave radio with me. I've been in situations where it's worthless. It's a paperweight, just because of the area. And I think the area just has something very unique to it. I'm also a firm believer there's a cryptid, I call it the cryptid cave theory. And I think there's a lot of cave systems that connect the Appalachian area. And I think that's why we have so many sightings. People always think, when they think Bigfoot, Sasquatch, cryptids, they're always thinking Pacific Northwest, Alaska, up in Canada. But the truth is, we have tons of reports here in Smoky Mountains, and in the Appalachians. So I think it's a hotbed that just really doesn't get its due. That's one of the reasons why I'm here.
Have you ever ran into in the Appalachians the feral people? These people just intrigue me, man.
Well, totally. We talked about this in Nebraska, and I agree with you. It's fascinating. I personally have not, but I believe 150% they're out there because there's so much space, and there's resources to boot. I mean, I think they're very much out there. I don't know how feral they'd be. I mean, I don't know how many generations it takes you to go back to being, a Neanderthal. But I think, after a generation or two, you probably start to lose that humanity. So, I mean, I'm sure that's probably out there.
Man, I wouldn't know what that would be like. All of a sudden, one eye's looking one way, the other eye's looking the other, and that one buck tooth sticking out that could just carve open an apple or an arm. It's just one of those. That's a bad sight, man.
They just got done eating a possum for breakfast. They're gonna
right. Yeah, have some possum and some rat stew for breakfast. Yeah. It's really, really very strange.
Well, I gotta wonder about the mental acuity of someone that wants to do that. I mean, I'm all about I'm all about camping and having going a little pre-industrial revolution every once in a while, but I mean, come on, who wants to be running around barefoot in the snow? I mean, but I guess that happens. I don't know how they adapt to it. I don't know how logically you can say, hey, this is a good idea, let's stay out here. But apparently they do.
Hey, we got 10 minutes here before we got to go to break here, and my son apparently wants to say something here.
Okie dokie.
And normally he's in bed by now, but he's excited for dear old Dad's birthday. So here.
I can totally relate to that. When you're in the forest, you always feel like something's watching you.
Why don't you tell Christian about what it's like when Sasquatch talks to you?
I can't really hear it, but you can just feel what the Sasquatch is saying.
Like how? Remember that day in the forest when you jumped up and said, "Dad, they're here."
Yeah.
Can you tell that story?
So I was playing on the hill that I normally play on while we are at the ghost site. I mean,
The Sasquatch site.
yeah, the Sasquatch site. And then all of a sudden, and I felt something from like one of the trees he's in the background just staring at me. So I jumped up and told my dad about it.
Good
Well,
job,
that's
buddy.
good. You know, you got to tell your dad about stuff like that because you never know what's going to happen. You got to always be paying attention, especially when you're in the woods. So that's you're lucky you have your dad with you there.
Tell Christian that time we saw the big guy.
Yeah, he was crouching down near a bush. He was like crouching down near a bush. He was about 10 feet tall. If you could like measure from, let's say, the floor over here to that roof, that would be almost half his height, I think.
He was pretty big.
Yeah, he was.
How did you feel about that?
I didn't really know how to react.
But you saw one.
Yeah, I saw it. It was huge. Like, I could clearly see the head shape and the arm shape just poking out.
Thanks, buddy. There you go.
Well, that's
First-hand
cool.
encounters from a 10-year-old right there.
You should. He's a good investigator. I like this kid. That's good.
Yeah. He likes going out in the field.
That's awesome. No
Yeah,
fear. I like that. He's got no fear. He just wants to see what he wants to see.
He hangs out with Dad, so
It's just true. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
He was about like 100 yards away.
yeah.
That's not very far, is it?
That's not very far for about a 10-footer.
No, that'd probably take 2 or 3 seconds if it really wanted to get to you.
Remember when we heard his friend in the background? And we're going, woo, in the trees? Remember that?
I totally remember that. I can't remember what it sounded like, though, but I remember it.
Well, it sounded like, woo. Like Ric Flair was, the Sasquatch version of Ric Flair was in the forest.
They were forest wrestling.
Yeah, this is where I want to take you, dude, when you get up here. I'm going to take you. We got a couple of spots. So,
good.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to it.
He's got to get back to work.
Yeah, you totally should come check it out with us. That's a lot of strange, like, we see, like, Bigfoot almost all the time over there.
Well, it'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to it because now I got 2 guides.
That's right. Thanks, buddy. High five. All right, let's continue on here on the show, and I appreciate my little guy for that. Quickly.
All right, I'm about to go upstairs, so bye, y'all.
Bye. Have a good night.
Daddy, you'll see you in the morning. Beauty of having a radio studio in your house.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Is your best buddy can come and say goodnight to you that way. So thank you for allowing him to do that.
You know what's funny is in the years to come, these are the things he's going to remember the most.
Oh,
my
yeah.
dad was doing radio. I just talked to my dad's radio show. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, how can you not love that? That's awesome. You're a good father, man. You're that kid's lucky he's got you.
I try. I try.
Some people try. You succeed, my friend. There's a difference.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. He's a good boy, and he's a straight A student too.
That's awesome.
And he plays hockey, so he's got the trifecta going on. He's seen
That's all he
Bigfoot,
needs. That's it.
plays hockey, and a straight A student.
There you go. Done. Your work here's done, my friend.
5.5 minutes before we got to go to break here at the top of the hour. Christian MacLeod is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Christian, when you have those close encounters, they are so fleeting. They are so fast. I mean, some people wait a lifetime for literally 2-3 seconds of that type of action. And yet others seem to get it all the time. Now, my son, he's saying that we see him all the time. We don't. Okay, we go to the area all the time. Whether or not they actually show up is a different thing. But I mean, these fleeting glimpses are what we live for. That's the rush. How many of these fleeting glimpses have you had?
I've seen paranormally. I've seen things over the years I can't explain. Probably 5 or 6 paranormal episodes I can't explain. And cryptid wise, I've seen Dogman 3 separate times, and I don't like saying this is a sight, but I saw the outline of about a 11-foot, what I would probably call type 1 Sasquatch, through some bushes when Tiny and I were investigating a place in Appalachia about 3 years ago. So I but again, I chalk it up as complete luck because of the area. And the only reason why we're investigating these areas is because we'll get phone numbers, or I'm sorry, we'll get calls on our 800 number or on the website. You go to cryptedguy.com, it opens up the website for everyone. And there's, the evidence we have and the things we find, and we just kind of lay it out there. But realistically, we're kind of, I hate saying this, but we get information that we just go on, and then we just research it and just go there. And sometimes something happens, and most times there's nothing. I mean, it's 90% of the time nothing happens. 5% of the time you think you got something. 2.5% of that time you may have something, and then the rest of that other 2.5% you just can't explain it. So, and that's where that little X-Files area lands. And I know you know what that's like. So it just depends. I think we have been incredibly lucky, but the truth is we work incredibly hard. This is something, this isn't just a hobby. This takes up a lot of time. I opened up the Marion Bigfoot Festival in Marion, North Carolina last weekend. And someone asked me, how much money do you make doing this every year? And I looked at and I laughed, and I said, I lose $5,000 to $6,000 a year every year doing this. I've never made a penny off this. We don't charge anyone anything. I'm a firm believer that God put us here to help each other. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you have to think of the psychological aspect that someone goes through once they have a cryptid encounter or a paranormal encounter. They're seeing something, or they're encountering something that they've been told their entire life doesn't exist, Dave. Dave, that's not real. This is ridiculous. If you see that, Dave, there's something wrong with you. Only crazy people or people on drugs see this stuff. And then when they have that experience, it tends to mess with their mind a little bit. So, we try to be like a little venting point for them. Let them tell us what they saw, and then we'll say point blank, listen, you legitimately saw something. These things are real, and this is just something you're gonna have to deal with now. But we're a little sounding board because we don't judge. I'm not gonna sit there and judge. Who am I to judge anyone? I mean, I'm out in the woods looking for a Bigfoot. I'm looking for a ghost. So I mean, who am I to judge anyone? But sometimes it's just nice for people to hear that their experience isn't the only one out there. And I think we kind of offer that little bit of support too. And you kind of have to take every case seriously. We'll talk to the witnesses 5 or 6, 7 different times, and if their story changes, we write it all down. And then, we have a case file, and we take all kinds of pictures, and we do, it's the whole thing, but we just try to be as professional as possible. And I think that kind of boils over into why we've been kind of, lucky.
We got about 45 seconds to go. Luck is a big part of what we are doing here. We're trying to find everything and try and bring those solutions out. 30-second answer here. What is luck in this field?
Hard work, and I'd say intuition. I'm very lucky in the fact that the people I work with have just really good instincts, and they use them. And we'll have those intuition moments, that we all kind of agree on something, and that's usually, when something good happens. But it's teamwork. research. It's always research. You have to know what you're dealing with, and honestly, you have to have the right area.
Hold that thought, Christian MacLeod. We got him for another hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Hour 2 of Monsters and Cryptids is next. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right. We're on a break here for about 5.5 minutes. Christian, I'm going to put you on mute. I'm going to step away for a minute here, and we're going to turn things over to Dirty Filth, who his blurry camera is going to tell us about this great piece of art that he's just created. We'll get him.
Oh, I can't read it. It's so blurry, Dave.
You're so blurry. You're just a blurry guy. People call you blurry filth.
Glasses.
You're not Dirty Filth anymore. You're blurry filth.
Oh, I can't get it any better. I had to get a new camera. It's slowly on the way in the snail mail.
I know the feelings. I know the
Whoops. Knocking stuff all over the place. Okay. It looked better earlier. Oh, that's not the place. Well, crap. Sorry, everybody. It's still blurry. Oh, boo earns. I apologize for that. I'm not the most technically savvy guy here, but nonetheless, it's a picture of a man in black. That just bugs me so much. It's a picture of a man in black talking with an alien at the SALT conference. But I had to change some words and stuff around so that no lawyers could try to yell at me or something. I don't know. I've always had that weird fear I could draw something and then some men in black actually show up at my door. Maybe that'll work. Well, oh well, I tried. But I'm waiting for a new camera that's not as wonky. This one's really dark. I even went and scooped an extra light from the missus. It doesn't seem to be doing anything, so anyways, I'm just rambling away here. Ow. Cats. I hope everyone's having a good night. Apparently, sports teams outsported other teams, and the crying will continue all over the internet. S for Met, Blob may have licked the lens. I think I'm not really sure. I may have to adjust some settings as well. I have to tinker with it. Because my other camera just decided to randomly die. My super sexy camera I had. That's already had it for a while anyway, so it's all good. Was Gizmo Williams from the Edmonton Eskimos Gizmo? That's every time I hear the name Gizmo, that's who I think of. I believe he was number 2. He used to always catch the ball, run it to the end zone, one go, and he'd do a backflip. And there was a little place at the Commonwealth Stadium there that was the Knothole gang. And your kid, you go sit there and high five all the guys when they come out. Gizmo Duck from DuckTales. Ooh, that's a good choice too. Come on, Gizmo. The anticipation is killing us. Gremlins movies. Yeah, that's... No, I don't know. I don't know how to fix the settings right now. I apologize. Paramarv, I don't know. Men in Black might not be able to. Thanks, Michael. Might not be able to operate in the sweaty Canadian summers or frozen Canadian winters. Aloha, Dave. Yeah, I'm glad somebody got the joke. I figured slat would work good. Just straight up copy the typeface of the lettering too. That makes me chuckle. Bob. Oh, Bob. Well, on the plus side, the computer's able to keep up with the chat room, so I don't seem to be lagging super far behind right now. Works out good. But yes, I also have unfortunate news. I have to scan all of my cartoons from 2020 to now. That's a lot of drawings. Oh yeah, I gotta have raw onions. If you make a grilled cheese sandwich, just throw a slice of onion in there. You know, T-Bone, I thought about doing that, but I don't know. If watercolor doesn't seem to go onto t-shirts or underwear very well. Yeah, gotta have the spider hanging out. It's very important. I think it was Robert Munch that used to do that. Oh, excuse me. I believe he used to have a little spider. Robert Munch, I think that was the guy that drew the hamsters. Pretty sure. I have to double check. It's been a while. Just like the scary stories to tell in the dark. That was cool stuff. They just threw that in the elementary library. I still have those somewhere. Spiders are pretty cool. My old basement, I used to have this gigantic wolf spider. Had her little house in the corner there. Worked out pretty good. Kept all the other bugs out of my basement.
Here we go in the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Yeah, we keep them free. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Pam? Let's take a look here. Let's go to iatrophobia. Iatrophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Christian MacLeod is here. He is from Asheville Cryptid and Paranormal, and American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com is his website. Christian, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dave. I'm having a great time.
Me too, my man. Me too. I got to ask you, in all of the encounters that you have had, what's the creepiest encounter that you've ever come across? Whether it's
my ex-mother-in-law.
Oh, yeah, I had one of those. Oh, did I have one of those?
That's terrifying. Creepiest encounter. Paranormally or cryptid?
Either or. What one sticks with you?
We did a paranormal investigation of a place not too far out of Asheville, and it ended up being demonic in nature. And I actually I saw some things that to this day I still don't square right with me. And that's probably the scariest thing I've ever seen.
What happened there?
We went in to investigate a place, and we had stuff thrown at us. We had footprints show up on camera. We were setting up cameras, and the set of footprints you see coming on the floor on the carpet, and then you see the last thing you see in the last frame is the camera shake. Well, that's because whatever it was smashed the camera into the wall to the point where it was completely disintegrated, with the exception of the SIM card.
Holy cow!
Yeah, and that happened right next to me. It was not a good thing. It made me. I've always been a man of faith, Dave, but it made me dive deeper into my faith. I will say that. And that was terrifying.
Did you ever clear it? Were you able to get it to go away?
We were able to get a couple of very well trained people in there to handle it. It was way above our ability. But see, that's the thing. Paranormally, people always overestimate their abilities. And I will tell you this, my friends, if you're listening, please, 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 if you want to investigate, I applaud you. God bless you. But never overestimate your own abilities. In other words, don't deal with demonic possession if you're not trained for it. And don't try to pet Bigfoot in the middle of the woods. It's not going to end up well for you. So always be safe. Safety is always first.
Okay, so the idea that this thing was demonic, how did you know it was demonic and not just an angry spirit?
You could feel it. You could feel the evil. You could feel the hatred. You could truly feel it.
Oh my. Had you been around demonic entities before?
Not to that extent. I've witnessed some pretty nasty things, but that's something you don't forget. I don't really talk about it much, Dave, but I'm just being honest with you because that was probably it's one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Because at that point, you're dealing with something. I'm sorry.
I'll ask you one more question about it. Did it attack you?
No, thank God. But I think one of the reasons for that is just I just started praying and doing Hail Marys and Our Fathers. So I think it just wasn't going to deal with me. That's my honest opinion.
Right. I get that. What about in the cryptid world?
The Dogman story I told you was probably the closest we ever came to a cryptid. The second one that scared us, Tiny and I were climbing up a hill, and we were following 22.5-inch footprints, 22.5 by 11-inch footprints. And on this hill we came up, you could see where the what I call the fuzzball stuck his hand into the side of the mud to kind of help himself up. And if you go to cryptidguy.com and you look at possible evidence, you can see like this picture where I've got my hand and it's like I'm feeling maybe one finger. How big this thing is. It's massive. And then when we got up to the top of this little hill, there was a hand-woven blind made from branches, from tree branches. And behind that, we just heard this, and that just one tone was enough to give you a Charmin moment or a oh my Lord moment. That was probably the second scariest we've ever been, simply because at that point, neither one of us was armed. We were out there training a new person, and we didn't think there was going to be any need for anything. And here's why: they were doing a mountain cleanup in the area we were researching. So the last thing I'm thinking of is there's going to be anything in there, but I'm never going to throw an opportunity to be in the woods out the window if I can help it. And we just started finding stuff, and then I went and found this. Before you know it, we're into this thing 2 hours. No one's armed, and we have a run-in with something. So that can get pretty scary too.
How do you combat the fear?
Scotch. I'm kidding. It does help. I think it's the desire to find something. I know deep down in my heart, if I was to find true evidence, Dave, and this is a conundrum, if I found proof, positive information, and I could prove that Sasquatch was real beyond a shadow of doubt, and no scientist could challenge it. That's what drives me. But the dichotomy of that's pretty simple, because the truth is, I don't know if I'd ever release the information, because what would that do to them? I think it's just my own selfish purpose. I need to know. I need 100% clarification. You know what I mean? I want to know who, what, when, where, how, why. You know what I mean? I want to know how old are they? What do they do? What do they know? Can they speak? Can they tell me about history? I guess it's the history teacher in me. I just want to know the history, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can understand that. But, disclosing what these topics are and these creatures are, I think it's a very personal disclosure. It doesn't matter whether it's aliens, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's ghosts. Do you think that we're ever going to solve these scientifically, what's going on, or are some things just meant to be mysteries?
Well, here's the thing, and if you think about what I'm about to say, it'll make sense. Is society ready for this? Because we can't even get along with each other. So I'm a firm believer. I'm a conspiracy guy too, Dave. I know I am. I know we've had our discussions, but I'm a firm believer. But the government knows about these things. I think they know about everything. I think they know about cryptids. I think they know about paranormal. I'm bet the bank they know about aliens. But the truth of the matter is society ready for this? Would it be the downfall of society, or would it uplift humanity to work together and finally get it together with everyone? I don't know, and I don't think the powers that be know either, and I don't think they want to gamble with that. I've always said this: if you were lucky enough to find maybe the carcass of a Bigfoot, because I'm a no-kill guy, by the way, I just don't think there's a need to kill anything. That if you were to find a carcass and you threw it in the back of your truck and tried to show up at a Walmart to show everyone you had definitive proof, I don't think you'd make it 200 feet before there was an agency all over you. So I think it's going to be on a timetable when the powers that be think that the regular citizenry can handle the truth.
Can we now?
I can. You can. But how's this? Is you and I find this normal? And you have to check our mental state on that. Look what we do. Look who we talk to. Look who we associate with. Look what we're looking for. This is normal behavior for you and me. But other people probably call us crazy. So I guess it depends on your mindset.
I think it totally depends on your mindset. I think that's a great point, but society really, I don't know if they can. But let's move on here. Let's take a couple of audience questions here.
Okey-dokey.
Because they are building up. Dizzy is asking, have you ever seen the pale crawlers?
No. However, I have taken reports on them, and I did see a tree where the report said the pale crawler slashed at it for some odd reason, and it was pretty interesting. You could see it looked like Wolverine hit it with 5 claws.
Holy cow! All right, let's move on to another question here from Sierra. Dave, does your son think Sasquatch is nice? He says that they are nice, but sometimes they get really, really bothered that we're around so long. So usually when he says, hey, Dad, they want us to leave, we will get out and leave. Let's go to
smart.
Aloha Dave. Aloha Dave here is asking, Christian, are there reports of cryptids outside of the U.S. and Canada?
Oh, yeah, there's reports. The only place I've never seen a report is probably Hawaii and some of the Pacific Islands. You have reports of cryptids on every continent of the world, including, Africa, Asia, Russia, the Ural Mountains, Indonesia, Australia has the Yowie. I mean, there's cryptid reports globally. The only and there are cryptid reports in Hawaii. They're just little people. They're not, So every continent, and when I say with the exception of Hawaii and the Polynesian Islands, I was talking about a cryptid that we would consider like Bigfoot or something like that. They have their own cryptids. I think every area on the planet has their own cryptids. And the problem is with all this AI technology and our advancement in photometry, it's just getting harder and harder to find out what's real or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's getting harder and harder. I mean, what do you think of all these different cryptids that are popping up, whether it's Siren Head, Hat Man? Do you think that these creatures are real that are coming up from creepypasta, or do you think that they are becoming tulpas that we are creating on our own?
I think tulpas are a very real thing. I think tulpas actually go into history. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think some like Slender Man, I've seen too many reports on Slender Man to discontinue a belief on that. I think there's something to that. What it is, I don't know. I think some of the stuff is just, it's a creepypasta. It's not even close to realistic, and it's never going to be. But again, I think it's situational, and I think you have to look at the people involved before you make an opinion. I will never say nothing is impossible. I've always said I don't give 100% guarantee on anything. I give you a 99.999 because there's always that little 0.01% standard deviation where something could be real and we just don't know. So it's possible. I don't believe in some of this stuff. I think some of the stuff's just getting ridiculous. But I think there may be a few things that we're just on the cuspice of understanding. I mean, it might be interdimensional beings. It might be something else. It could be alien. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go over to our next question from T-Bone. Christian, have you heard of Siren Head? Your thoughts?
I have not heard of that one. Which one's that?
Siren Head is one of these creepypasta ones again, where it's like a 10, 12, 15-foot creature, but instead of a head, it has one of those old, air raid sirens as a head.
You see, I haven't heard of that. And to me, that just... what's the biological function of having a siren as a head? If we're looking at it through the eyes of nature, if it's a real cryptid, then it's got to be flesh and blood. It's got to be able to reproduce, eat, find a place to sleep, stuff like that. How's it going to do that with a siren as a head?
I don't know. I don't know. It's very thin though, so it's probably not eating too much. At least that's my thoughts.
Maybe it's battery powered. Mm-hmm.
You've dealt with Bigfoot. You've dealt with Dogman. Mm-hmm. You've dealt with so many other type of creatures. Have you noticed any patterns between them all? Like when you go into an area, I'll give you an example. The one area that we have, when we start going there quite a bit at night, all of a sudden, one night we'll be seeing orbs in the trees. The next night we'll be seeing, maybe a UFO. Next night we'll feel the Sasquatch around, but we won't see them. We may hear some heavy footsteps, but it seems like places warm up. Have you had other types of experiences like that where you've seen the patterns?
Well, I was just about to call. I said, everything seems to run in patterns. I also think there's migration. So I think there's a migration pattern, and I think there's, I call it the woo-woo factor, because the longer you do this, the more you realize that there is some kind of woo going on. You just don't know what. So usually when you see the lights or the orbs, that'll be followed by something. And then after that will be followed by something else. So what you're saying, I agree with 150% with. It's just I'm not sure how it works or why it works that way. Because I've actually taken reports with, start out with lights. They had a cryptid sighting. The next day, boom, they were seeing UFOs. And the people I've talked to, I believe they think they saw what they saw. I believe them. And the question is, Dave, is why do we have these kind of patterns? Is it? I still think, and maybe I'm just being a wild-eyed hopeful. I still think everything somehow is connected. I just don't know how.
I would like to know how to. I mean,
See, that's what bugs me. Yeah.
the phenomena works in such strange ways, man, that it's so hard to actually, you know, get a grasp of what is truly going on. And I don't understand that, but that's what piques my interest.
Well, I think that's what drives us all. It's like, what is it? I mean, once you see something, and I think you can understand what I'm saying is once you see something, it changes you, and it changes your mental outlook, and it changes the way you look at everything. It changes the way you look at history. It changes the way you look at folklore. And I love looking at those old pictographs, and then they'll like be a picture of something, and then they'll show a modern day helicopter, and it looks exactly the same, or they'll show a UFO next to a hieroglyphic, and it's like, wait a minute, that can't be coincidence, because I don't believe in coincidence, one, and two, there's just too much there. So it makes me wonder, is this been going on since day one and we just haven't noticed it, or is that's the basis of folklore, mythos, or all these, it just opens up. When you answer one question, you get 10 more, and I think that's what keeps the field going, is there's so many questions that can't be answered. And then you get these new investigators with new techniques, and who knows, man? Dave, maybe one day, heck, maybe your son might figure it out. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I want to know. I'm going to keep looking, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just a big question mark, and it bugs me.
Have you ever had UFO encounters during your cryptid searches?
I want to say yes, but we saw the aftermath of a UFO. And it was actually, we were investigating a Dogman report. We found a kill site. We found, whatever killed this particular animal it was vicious. They just basically like it ripped it apart. But as we kept following the evidence, it led us basically to this part of a forest that was a 30-foot perfect circle, and it was a dead zone. It was everything goes from lush to green to a gray, and it was popping up 3 rads on the Geiger counter. And when you looked up, you could see where something in a perfect circle had come through the tree branches and just boom, straight down. And there was the tree branches were quarterized. It was just crazy. But that's the closest I've ever come to an unveiling investigate or a UFO investigation while doing a cryptid report.
Holy cow. How often are you getting action while out in the field?
Man.
We got 2 minutes.
2% of the time. I mean, that's why you have to continue, you have to keep going and doing the research, or you have to keep investigating. I call us cryptid detectives. And here's why. A detective, he looks at everything, just investigates it all. And then you do the history, and you do the possible, and then you start looking at every angle. And that's what we do. But it depends, because we are very methodical in where we go and at what time of year. And, there are patterns. And when you start looking at the patterns, you get more, I think you get more information. But I think that has to deal with exactly what time of year it is and what specific area you're going to go in. Because I'm a firm believer these creatures migrate. I think all cryptids migrate. If you think about it, it makes total sense. Dave, if you're a 12-foot, tall, 3,000 pound North American primate covered in hair, are you really going to want to spend your summer in the Everglades? Or are you going to go north? Now, look at the way the natural, and when people say, oh, the government doesn't know anything about this or something like that, I say that's ridiculous. Look at the way the national park system is set up. Look at our national parks. You could be a cryptid and just walk through the national parks your entire life and never run into human beings. And then you've got the Teddy Roosevelt, fact. Teddy Roosevelt, this is the only guy that writes about Bigfoot in his book, The Wilderness Hunter, in 1896. He writes about the Bauman incident. And then, boom, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe that he creates a national park system that pretty much protects every kind of path or highway and byway these things would use to migrate. I mean, to me, it just doesn't wash. So, I mean, it's just, it's connected somehow.
Christian, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are at the bottom of the hour here where we're going to take a break. We're going to get to more audience questions, and more. Cryptid and Paranormal Talk with Christian MacLeod from Asheville, North Carolina. Height unknown, weight unknown, but he does have a website, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. The second half of the show with me, Dave Scott, will happen right after this. Stay tuned, everybody. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, my man. There you go. There you go. Woohoo! Excellent. Excellent. This is flying by, man.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. I can't believe we're already in the last half hour.
I know. Trust me, it's been painful for me too. Well, what do you want me to say?
Oh, nothing. Nothing, brother. Nothing.
Right?
Hey, it's good. It's good. That's all you gotta do.
I hear you.
Hey, I became a Knight of Columbus tonight.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I didn't even know that was going to happen. I just kind of ended up doing it.
Well, isn't that just generous?
So it was kind of cool. And remember I told you about the guy the reverend, one of the reverends or one of the fathers at my church I thought was an exorcist. Remember I told you about that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he became a Knight of Columbus too with me tonight. It was actually kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's all that's going on. And then tomorrow's the last day of school with the students. So
Well,
hopefully,
you guys get out early.
yeah. But it's Dave, brother. This has been the worst year. I can't even tell you how bad this year has been. It's been a nightmare.
Yeah, we'll save that for a private convo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about that. You know, it's.
I hear you. I hear you, my man. So what else is new? How's the girlfriend?
Christina's great. She's in Florida right now, picking up her car. She wanted to go see her parents for a little bit. She had some stuff to handle down there, a few doctor's appointments. She's getting her oil changed, and she's probably going to be driving up tomorrow night.
Nice.
But, I think I'm going to keep this one. What do you think? You think I should keep her around?
Yeah. She's hilarious.
I'm grown accustomed to her. Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell she farts hard. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart, man. When we were in high school in 10th grade, MIT was asking her to come go to their school. That's how her mathematics. I don't think she can take any higher math than what she's taken over the year. I mean, I think that's it. I don't think she can do it. I don't think there was any. She was working on linear equations.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm very lucky, man. I give it, I wouldn't say this on air, but I give it to God, man. I tell you, I'm lucky, I'm blessed because I'm like, I talk to the big man every day and just ask him for guidance. And
you got that right.
He does it.
Right, my man. You got that right. We got about 3.5 minutes here.
No
so when
problem.
are you coming up here?
I'd like to come up there in July, end of July.
Right on. Yeah. Mosquito season would be perfect.
Oh, yeah. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. I got a couple of hot spots I'm going to take you.
I figured. I figured.
Yeah, man.
That'd be nice. Hey, are you doing, you got any more conventions coming up? I'm doing the SpaceX, I'm doing the UFO Spruce Pine event with Robin, I think on June 18th.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. But Marion was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was big. I think it was the biggest turnout we'd had. That was actually really cool.
We got one coming up. I just don't know the dates for this year. It's a couple hours down the road. I don't know when it is, but it's going to be good.
Oh, I mean, are you speaking?
Yeah.
That'll be good. I mean, you back them in, man. People love you.
Well, we'll see. I mean, last year they did their first one, and they had between 400 and 500 people at the event. As big as the one. So I think it's great.
Marion, what they do around here is they'll shut the town. Like Marion had probably 50,000 people.
Yeah. Wow.
And what they do is they shut the town down, and they use all the Main Street for vendors, and there's a main stage where you do speaking. So it's the guy running, his name's John Bruner, dear friend, nicest guy in the world. But he just he came up with the idea, and they went for it, and it's
nice.
It's kind of made the town.
All right, hold on right there. Big thank you to Joe W. Decker, T-Bone ×2, Gizmo, Greg, Phase Will, Necessary, Parababes, Von Patrick, Rough Rider, Kira for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the birthday love and support. And here we go, everybody. Like 5 seconds. Here we go, the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, did you know all of our archives are free? Yeah, we keep them free to you. Why? Well, because we like it being free. Yeah, you can go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio or hit us up on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, Christian MacLeod is here with us from Asheville, North Carolina, hanging out, talking paranormal and cryptids. His website, American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com. Welcome back, Christian.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's get to some audience questions here.
Okie doke.
Michael is asking, what's your take on the Vatican saying about cryptids and ghosts and such?
But what exactly is the Vatican saying about that? I don't.
Well,
I've never heard.
basically, they actually held a press conference a week ago today, and they were talking about how basically paranormal phenomena is real. Miracles do happen. And, not everything is of a dark descent, but you have to use discernment with your communication if you choose to communicate with them. They don't recommend it, but they know it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, if anyone would know, it'd be the Catholic Church. When we think about it, I mean, you're dealing with pretty much the first, church of the Christian faith, and they've been collecting and storing information for 2,000 plus years. So I think they'd have a good idea of what's really out there. I mean, if memory serves, don't they have also the largest telescope that's used for extraterrestrial searches?
Yeah, Lucifer out in the New Mexico desert.
Yeah, so I mean, if anyone would know, I think it'd be the Catholic Church. And with this current Pope, that guy was an exorcist. So he's seen it all, done there and done that. So I think he's just trying to leak out information. If you're gonna let someone know something, the best way to do it is through the church. So I mean, that's actually a brilliant move. I did not know. I was not paying attention. I've been dealing with a lot of work issues. I'd like to go ahead and see that news conference, though. I think that'd be cool. I'm gonna have to YouTube that later.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's not long. It's only about under 30 minutes, but definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. When you look at everything that you have experienced and the cases that you have covered over the years, how do you go about helping people who've had encounters that they just can't understand?
We tell them point blank, listen, you're not alone. We'll show them websites, or we'll show them other people's stories. And I've Googled on YouTube, excuse me, I have YouTube paranormal activity encounters, and these people are like, well, that's exactly what happened to me. And so, look, you're not alone. There's a whole bunch of people, so they've learned to live with it. You can do the same thing, but it also depends on what you're dealing with. I've had people over the years tell me, hey, listen, I'm pretty sure I got a Bigfoot problem here. How do I get rid of them? Well, I'm like, well, you're not going to really get rid of them until they want to leave. But if you want to deter them, you can do this, this, or this. And that's pretty much, the best we can do. Like I said, we're a no-kill organization. So at no time would I recommend, unless, your family was in grave danger, even pulling out a gun on these things, unless you had to.
Do you think they can be killed with a gun?
Excuse me, what?
Do you think they could be killed with a gun?
I do. I personally think they're flesh and blood. I think there might be a subset of them that a little bit different, but I think for the most part they can be killed. I just think it's going to take a whole lot more than, one good shot.
I don't think so, dude. I don't think so. I'm just not convinced that this creature is purely flesh and blood.
I know. I'm not convinced all of them are. I'll be the first one to say that. I think there might be some of them that are just a little different, or they're just, like I said earlier, I'm never going to say anything's out of the realm of possibility, Dave. But from the ones I've seen, I'm pretty sure they're flesh and blood. That doesn't mean all of them are, or that doesn't mean what some people are seeing fall into that category. But what I haven't seen anything that would deter me from thinking they wouldn't move on from being shot, so to speak.
Well, I think you can shoot them. If it came down to it, I think you could shoot them. I just don't want to take the chance. I mean, look what happened at Mount St. Helens in the 1930s. Yeah. These things get pissed off, and they come back with vengeance.
Oh, they're very vindictive. And see, that's what makes me think, that there's that, people say, well, they're part human. Well, when I hear the stories and when it comes to revenge, I think, yeah, that would be something a human would do. I don't think there's any other animal that, looks for revenge, but we do. And if these things are part human, then, that might be a trait they got from us. But, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Would you shoot one?
No. But, Dave, you're talking to a guy, I fish and I use barbless hooks. I just enjoy myself. I don't, I'm just a no-kill guy. For me, there's just no reason to kill anything unless, you absolutely had to. If I'm starving in the woods or something like that and I had to, hunt down a deer or something like that, yeah, I would. But, I can go to the store. I don't need to kill anything. If I'm hungry, it just depends on the circumstances. And like I said, I think everything's situational. If my life was on the line, would I shoot it? Yeah. If I had to. Would I enjoy it? No. Would I want anyone to, would I want to, kill it? No. If I had to injure it, to survive, I would do that. But it'd be situational.
Yeah. And like we have a no-kill policy here, either. And the one thing that I often believe is that Sasquatch has a really good nose for gunpowder.
I agree.
And
I think they can smell the metal too. I think they can smell the metal and the oil. I think they can smell all of it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think it the minute it smells, it has that odor of gunpowder and hears the sound, I think it moves back off into the distance. I got a question from President Zadi here. Can we pressure the Vatican to open up the vault? If our God is not a God of confusion, then why hide him?
That, Dave, that's a good question, but that goes above my pay grade.
Right.
I'm a Catholic. I'm not gonna. I can't.
Come on.
There's
You got
nothing I can say about that one.
You got some pull with Francis there, man.
I wish, God, what I wouldn't give to hang out in the archives. Can you
Just
imagine how
once.
awesome that would be?
Okay, let me ask you this, though. Why do you think I believe that the Vatican can prove a lot of what is happening on Earth? And I think they could do that more so than any other government on this planet. I really do. Why do you think they hold things so secretive? Whether it's whether it's about the Virgin Mary or Jesus Christ or Bigfoot or aliens or the paranormal or whatever secret they may hold. Why do you think they are so locked up?
It goes back to the world's not ready. I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's the same reason why the government doesn't give us full disclosure on everything, or there's no transparency, because we're not ready for it. If we really knew what the world was like and what was really going on, people would probably be terrified. So to keep society functioning on a daily basis, certain things have to be edited from our site. And I think that's what they do. I think that's why they do that specifically. So I think it's honestly a safety measure. If you come out tomorrow and say Bigfoot's real, aliens are real, Loch Ness monsters are giant, all that stuff's all real, what's that going to do to society? Think about how are people going to act. Now, if you get the the very, very religious folks, the sect of religion that, just the Bible's it and that's all. What did God make man as? His own image, right? Well, then
Right.
if these things are real, who made them and why? And do they have a soul? Or are they just, animals? I mean, and I don't think they're just animals. That's just me. So, I mean, you come up with this conundrum. Do we tell everyone, oh, by the way, yeah, we know these things have existed? See, I'm a firm believer that the federal government has known about these things since at least Thomas Jefferson, probably Washington, but since Jefferson, definitely. And the reason why I say that simply is because of the Lewis and Clark expedition. They were told point blank, the reason why they wanted to make friends with the Native Americans wasn't for anything more than to learn how to deal with the things in the woods that they didn't know how to deal with. And the hairy man is something that comes up. There's depictions in the original journals about Lewis and Clark running into the hairy man and the Native Americans having to make peace with it. So, it's just one of those things. I think it would completely change the dynamic of history. And then if, you're into the missing 411 books, and you start reading about those, and then they can say, oh, yeah, and they're also known to, kill humans every once in a while if they're hungry or if there's a lone wolf or they get mad and have a temper tantrum. They can be quite dangerous. Well, what does that do to the federal? That opens them up for a heck of a lawsuit, doesn't it? For all these people who've gone missing. So, all this stuff has to be disclosed. And I don't think people are ready for that.
Me either.
You'd
All
have
right.
pandemonium, Dave. I mean, people would be complete scofflaws. They would, because everything, all of our rules, regulations, and laws are based on some kind of Judeo-Christian rule. That's just the way it is. 10 Commandments translate real easily into our laws today. And you can look at it either way you want, but it's just the way it is. So if you change that dynamic in any way, how are people going to react to that? So now how are they going to look at the law? If you take away their reason for being good people, then what's society going to end up doing? I mean, it'll be anarchy.
Let's get to another question here. Let us head on over to Paul, who is asking, what do you think, Christian, of the Colorado Sasquatch train sighting?
It's fake. That's a guy in a suit. I don't think it's real at all. His arms aren't long enough. When you see the real enhanced version of it, it basically just looks like a suit. My humble opinion.
I wasn't sure at first, but the more I looked at that, I believe it was a publicity stunt
Don't I?
for for like an RV lot or an RV company that uses Sasquatch as its mascot. I
Mhm.
think that's the official story on that one.
I definitely think it's an outfit because, like I said, I just did the Marion Bigfoot Festival, and for fun, they have some people dressed up as Bigfoot and they go around and take pictures with the kids, and it's the same outfit.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
I appreciate that.
I mean, Sasquatch is interdimensional, but I'll give you that.
Okay, so he needs a train ride then. Okay,
He needs a train ride in order to prove his existence.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
First class.
All right. Let's go over to Paramarv, who's wondering, have you ever heard any Sasquatch mating calls?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not exactly sure what that would sound like. I mean, what would that sound like? The Righteous Brothers, in Bigfoot talk? I don't know. The Samurai Chatter. I honestly don't know. That's a good question.
I was thinking they'd go more dulcet tones of Barry White.
But yeah, I can see that. My first, my last, my everything in Wookiee. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe a little, Pavarotti if you have a little more intellectuals. But I mean, it's possible. I don't know.
Andrea Bocelli.
There you go. A little Bocelli.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some 3 tenors, maybe the Irish tenors, something there. Or you want to get real fancy, bring out the Enigma, but I don't know how they're going to do that. So,
Yeah, that one will be difficult.
Yeah, they could do it.
That one will be totally difficult, but they could do it. They're Sasquatch. They could do anything.
Exactly.
That's why we do it. That's why we do it. When you're planning for an investigation out in the forest, what do you take? Go through your roll call here.
Maps, flashlights, backup batteries, food, water, survival equipment, Marlar blankets, things to make fire, extra batteries, extra ammunition. I carry a EPIRB, an emergency beacon, and a shortwave radio. I will tell you this right now. I used to carry plaster. I won't do that anymore. It's 30 pounds. It's too heavy. I'm too old. And you need a gallon of water and a bucket to mix it all in. It's just too much of a hassle. You can just take pictures these days. And I always carry 2 or 3 tape measures and cameras. Sometimes recording devices. I carry a metal detector sometimes, but I also carry a natural frequency meter and a Geiger counter. That's usually what's in my bag.
The environment where you are investigating, is it a hostile environment with a lot of creatures, or is it the middle of the forest where, the chances of running into other animals is a little bit, less frequent?
I hate saying it, it's pretty much hostile. You have to really watch your back. We have bobcats, we got wolves, we've got all kinds of bears, and then there's the chance of running into bootleggers or people making stuff out in the woods that don't want to be seen. I mean, that's always a worry. But I mean, it's not. But then again, some of it's very, very gentle, and sometimes you don't even see a squirrel. But sometimes it's like you're in the jungle.
Have you been investigating long enough now to know when you feel they are around?
That's a good question. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not sure. Sometimes I think I know. Sometimes I get that feeling, and then there'll be nothing. But usually the real stuff occurs when you're not ready for it. So I don't know if that's possible.
When you say weird stuff happens, what do you mean by that?
Oh, like you'll get growled at. I did a TV show that they pretty much edited everything that we had gotten out of it because they were told that it wasn't allowed to air in the United States. And the reason why I'm saying that is that was a night where we had stuff on infrasound, but we didn't think anything was going to happen because we're out there with a camera crew. So it depends. I think a lot of it has to do with time of the year and the region. And again, that goes back to my thought process of their migration patterns and when and where they do that.
Do you think they are migratory?
Definitely. I think it makes sense. If they were in one spot for the whole year, first of all, their food supply. I mean, how many calories a day do you think you got to maintain to keep that mass going? That's one. Two, temperature. As I said before, if you're a 12-foot, 3,000-pound North American primate, you're covered in hair, you're not going to want to spend 90-degree weather, 110-degree weather. You're going to go up north where it's colder and there's a bigger food supply. And so I think there's some. When you look at the correlations in the sightings in Canada, most of them are during spring and summer. Well, why is that? Well, it's migration time.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Do you think they're following deer? Do you think they're following rabbits? What do you think?
I don't think they need to do that. I think they're smart enough to be able to find food wherever they go. I think, and there's never been a deer population as large as it is right now in the continental United States. Does that mean they're just following these herds? I doubt it. I think, like I said, I think their instincts are for migration, and I think the food supply is there year round when they need it and where they need it. And if it's not, that's when they start poking around people's houses, or you start seeing livestock disappear. So I think it all boils down to migration.
Have you ever covered any cases of cattle mutilation?
No. I have seen deer ripped apart. I've seen wild turkeys just completely. It looks like something put them in a blender and spit them out. But I've never seen a domesticated cow or horse or anything like that damaged.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen in the forest?
That circle of death, that 30-foot circle of death, that was a perfect circle. That the wood looked like. You ever seen Chernobyl, pictures of Chernobyl, how like they show the forest and it's like dead, the trees are like gray. It goes from lush green to gray, and it's in a perfect circle. To this day, still the weirdest thing I've seen. I don't know how to explain that one.
Question from T-Bone here. Have you ever heard the Sasquatch samurai gibberish?
No, I have been growled at in infrasound. I've been growled at. I've heard a whoop, but not like the ones you see on TV, because imagine being able to turn up the bass as it would go, and then some kind of just having a bassy voice and go whoop. And that's I've heard that. That's about it. Now, Bron Moorhead's a friend of mine, and he's all convinced that samurai chatter is their own language, and that's how they communicate. We
had it happen to us in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hearing that, it's weird.
To me, that's definitely got to be a language. I mean, that's just communication. That's what that is.
Oh, yeah. Question was, we didn't know, looking back on it now, because hindsight is always 20/20. I still don't know whether it was communicating with us or whether it was communicating with another creature. That's the thing. You don't know. And again, I'm a firm believer that these are highly intelligent creatures, and they might have been saying, "Hey, Dave, listen to your show. Big fan. Thanks. You're doing us a solid. Appreciate you taking care of us." Blah blah blah. You don't know. It might have, it might have recognition. You might recognize you. It might have recognized you from one of the other times you're out there, and it's just basically saying, "Hey, how you doing?" I don't know. I've never heard of any violent acts happening with samurai chatter that didn't sound excited. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can tell if they're getting amped up by the way they start speaking, because it'll be like people. They get angrier and angrier, and their voice pattern and their speech pattern gets angrier and angrier.
But it's one of those things. I'm not going to pretend to tell you. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, that's definitely what this is and that's definitely what this is. I just don't know. I wish I knew. I just don't. I think to me, it's fascinating. It's fascinating because when you put in the fact that they have a speech, and they can communicate, well, what does that tell you? Now we're dealing with a real intelligent creature, aren't we? So, I mean, it kind of changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
And on that note, Christian MacLeod, we got to say goodnight to you. Thank you for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What a pleasure. His website, once again, is American Cryptid and Paranormal Society.com. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to have some fun. We got Steve Stockton. We have Robin Haynes. We got the Thought of the Dave 101, that is, and more on the show next. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, my man. Great show.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, bro. Anytime you want me back, I'm a phone call away from you, brother.
I appreciate that, my man. And tell me when you're going to lock in that trip.
I definitely will. Hey, brother, God bless. You got a great family. I'm proud of you. And I got nothing but big love for you. Ever need me, let me know.
I appreciate
Thanks,
it. Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Christian MacLeod, everybody. How awesome was he? How awesome. Evan Walters pissing me off. And I'll be right back, guys. All right. There's Robin Haynes hanging out in the background. Marlena, how are you? Good to see you. How about them Oilers tonight? 1 down, 3 to go. All right. How'd you guys like Christian? He's a good dude. Really good dude. Big thank you tonight to all of our super chatters. T-Bone ×2, Vaughn, Rough Rider, Kira, Parababes, Necessary, FaZe Will, Greg, Joe, W. Decker, and Gizmo. Thank you for the love and support. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. All right? It'll be fun. All right. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Let me get that for you. My screen is doing some weird stuff right now. Weird stuff. 1 second here. What do we got? We have iatrophobia. Iatrophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night we say hello to Steve Stockton with another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Now, deep in the ancient hollows of the southern Appalachians, where the mist hangs thick among the mountain laurel and the creeks gurgle with voices from the unseen world, there's a legend that has curdled the blood of mountain folk for generations. It's the tale of the Bone Eater, a creature born of darkness, summoned by the blackest of witchcraft to roam these haunted hills and hollers on an endless hunt. A hunt not for flesh and blood, but for the very bones that give a body form. Old folks tell the Bone Eater being human once, but turned inside out by an insatiable greed that manifested as a ravenous hunger for the skeletal remains of man and beast alike. The more bones it consumed, growing grotesquely malformed with each swallow, the more unstoppable and depraved its cravings became. Some say the Bone Eater's origins trace back to the Trail of Tears in the 1830s, when the Cherokee Nation was driven west by President Jackson's soldiers through 1,000 miles of winter wilderness. As the tribe's huddled, starving masses passed through these very mountains, it was whispered that a shaman had made a deal with the unspeakable forces that dwell in the hollows to keep what little remained of his people alive. The price for this pact was allowing an ancient bone-eater demon to roam the lands once more, a primordial creature whose existence dated back to the Paleolithic darkness before the first ember of human civilization cast its warm glow. In this telling, the shaman had no choice but to accept the deal and unleash the horror, lest his tribe be consigned to extinction. Others claim the Bone Eater was the twisted creation of settlers who followed Daniel Boone's trail through the Cumberland Gap in the 1770s, that the folk magic and occult lore of Scots-Irish immigrants from the Old World intermingled with Native American shamanic practices to spawn an abomination that fed on the bones of both the fragile new settlements as well as any Indian villages unlucky enough to be in its path. Whichever grim origin rings true, all agree. Once someone or something is marked as the Bone Eater's prey, their bones shall be slowly removed, one by agonizing one. The creature itself is a gaunt, hunched figure with mottled gray flesh pulled taut over its own contorted, mismatched skeleton. Its face is blank, apart from a tongue that lolls out from a mouth lined with rows of teeth made from the bones of its countless victims. To gaze upon its visage is to go insane from the sheer cosmic wrongness of its very being. But those few who have caught only glimpses of it describe a horror that moves with purpose on limbs easily as long as a grown man is tall. They tell, too, of its stench, an overpowering reek of bleach and decay that clings to its wake. More than one unfortunate soul has followed a trail of this scent into the tangled woods, only to stumble upon piles of clean-licked bones and tarnished belt buckles, shoe buckles, and the like, all that's left of past prey. The Bone Eater has dwelt in these hills, glades, and abandoned mines since before the memory of man, and it shall continue to do so until the end of days, as it seeks to slake its abhorrent thirst.
Thank you, Steve Stockton, for another great show. If you want more videos just like that, head to youtube.com/Tales Untold. All right, from the missing to the mysterious, Robin Haynes is back with a Cryptid report. Robin Haynes, Cryptid person and entertainment factor extraordinaire. How you doing, friend?
I'm good. It's so good to be back and see you.
I know. It's hard to believe it's already been like a month since
I
we
know.
last.
It just seems like it was yesterday. I mean, really, I can't. I'm already looking forward to next year. We're going to have so much fun. We got some really good guests lined up, and you're coming back, which is always going to be amazing.
I know. I cannot wait.
I can't either.
I cannot wait. It's absolutely amazing. We're going to get into some cryptid talk with you here because that's kind of what we do on this
Yeah.
edition of the Cryptid Report. And I want to talk about habitats. Okay.
Okay.
I went to my Sasquatch area for the first time this year. And of course there were bear tracks, there were wolf tracks, coyote tracks, and moose tracks, and deer tracks, and all sorts of different animals. I really thought that we would get something in there, just something just to tip us off. And there was nothing. Nothing. How do I know if that is now a dead area for them or if it's an area I should continue going to?
I always tell everybody look for structures. If you find an area that's got some of these structures in there, then they are at least coming through there. I mean, they may not actually be living in that exact spot, but they're there a lot. They're meeting in that place. Look for on the ground, look for disruptions, as far as your footprints, that type of thing. People don't realize this, check your trees. I've been in a lot of areas, including like at my own place where they hang out at, and you actually see on the branches of the tree bald spots where they've taken their hands and grabbed on it to pull them up. And if they frequent it, you'll find these bald spots. And I know it sounds really crazy, but there's bald spots on branches from where their feet go and their hands go as they're climbing up those trees. People don't realize how much they actually get up in the trees. I can tell you, there's probably countless people that have had areas that they think they're not there, and the whole time they were being watched from above. You want have to have food sources. You've already got that. You've got to have a water source that's within relatively close distance where it's not hard for them to get to. They're looking for an area that's remote so that they don't have to worry about visitors coming in where their children are. So these are all things that you're going to look for. Look at the plants. That's another key factor. Look at the plants. There's different plants like sassafras, teaberry. They like those. Look to see if there's any kind of a moss that they would use for healing. What kind of barks are on the trees? Are there barks that can be used? Spruce trees, they really like the spruce plants as well. So you want to look for the vegetation. You want to look for the water. Obviously, the food sources are there. Find out what other predators are in that area. Is this something they want to be bothered with? I mean, they're the apex. They can take out anything, but who wants to be on their toes all the time having to fight off other predators? So check out what animals are around there. Check what kind of trees. Check what kind of plants. Check a water location. Check these trees for the handprint. I mean, you can really and truly, it just looks like a bald rub spot on these trees where they put their hands, placed it to pull themselves up, and they've used their feet to pull up as well. Like when I went in my back, when I lived in Michigan, and I went into the back of my woods, they had this one tree, and I knew they hung out in it a lot. I was amazed when I really examined the tree that there were bald spots the size of a very wide handprint or footprint that went up these trees on branches, and you could see where they had been climbing out. And then once I looked up high enough, there was vegetation on the inside near the trunk that had been removed where they could sit there, and there was enough leaves on the outside nobody could see them, but boy, it was sure bald on the inside of it, where they would be able to sit there and be comfortable. Look at your spruce trees. They like the pine, I'm sorry, not the pine, but the sap. So you'll see bald spots where they pulled the bark away and had the sap. So there's a lot of really tiny little signs that they're in that area. Can they get up and decide to move? It's entirely possible, depending on what's come through there. Has any of the negative entities come through, or, like the time when you were there and the ETs were there, that would have made them not want to be in that spot anymore. But those are just a few of the things that you can really look for. You've got to get really hardcore into it and not just look at what's on the surface. Look what's kind of underneath of it on all these layers, your plant life, your trees, all those things.
Okay, so in my area, though, where we have moose who graze off of trees and scratch trees, and bears that scratch trees, and porcupines that climb trees, and mountain lions that climb trees, how do you tell the difference between what they are doing for Sasquatch and whether or not it's just a regular animal of the forest?
Well, with your bears, you've got your claw marks. Those are a very distinct mark that are not going to be misconstrued to be a Sasquatch. But when I'm telling you to look on the branches, okay, most of your moose, your bear, those things are on the trunk. I'm saying look on the branches themselves, because that's where they would grab, just like when, a kid or when we were younger, we would, climb trees. You're grabbing the branches to pull yourself up. Look on the branches for spots that would be wide enough for a handprint, and they're going to be consecutive. Just like that, if you would climb a ladder where your hand would go up and up and up. Only these are on branches, and they really are, they look like scuff marks. They're smooth, the bark's gone, and they're just in a pattern where one hand would go here, the next hand would go there, followed by each foot. So they're more distinctive than you would think, because with your moose, you're going to have the rubs. The bear, you're going to have claw marks. And this, it looks like exactly if you were to go up to a tree and climb it, figure where you would put your hands to pull yourself up. You're not going to be pulling yourself up on the trunk. You're going to be pulling yourself up on the branches. And it's going to go one hand, the next hand, one foot, the next foot. And you're going to see that movement pattern. And it's going to be where the bark's gone away because they've climbed it up enough where it's pushed the bark away, and now it's just a bare limb, but it's wide enough for a foot or a hand. And it's in a pattern that would look like something's climbed it, not rubbed it.
Okay, so if they're not leaving any footprints in the area, and we checked our area quite a bit, do we have to wait and give it time to see if they come back? Or do we have to just maybe monitor the area for a few weeks to see if there's any signs of them being there? Do we go back to what we were doing before where we had that communication?
I would go back to what you were doing before because clearly it worked. That's how you led up to your sighting. As far as the footprints, if you're not getting a footprint, look for places in the grasses, because a lot of times if the grasses are in such a way, you're not going to get a footprint where it looks like there's a pattern of something walking. And obviously these guys are big enough where it's not going to be a deer trail. It's much wider than that. And it's going to look bipedal. It's not going to look, like there's been a four foot print put down. You're going to find an area where it looks like they've been sitting, not necessarily where a deer laid down. I used to get spots that were like 6 foot by 9 foot where they would lay down at, and it was definitely not in a pattern that would be associated with a deer. So look at your patterns in the grass, see what you can find there. And then again, you always want to, your first clue is the stick structures, whether it's random sticks that are leaned up against trees. Remember that when they do the stick structures, they're locked down. It's not just looking like random deadfall. That's where people get messed up. There's actually what they call a lock, because they move it and they put it accordingly so that it's not going to, fall easily, or it's locked into place. And that's what you're looking for. When you see the arches, they're always attached where that bow goes over, and they bend the arches by using their own energy. So they bend the arches and they move them over. And at that tip of where the tree comes down at, it's going to have something in place to hold it down. It's not just going to be bowed over that you would associate with snowfall or some type of weather. It's going to be anchored. There's going to be something on top of it, or that tip of that tree is going to be put under a log. There's always something to anchor it. Your random structures that are there, they're bent and they're locked. And what I mean by lock is when you go to move that branch, there's something manipulated in a way that it's locked down to hold the position that they put it in.
Okay. With other animals moving through that area, is that a good sign that there's a good chance that they may be coming back?
Oh, absolutely. They've got a food source there. Okay. And then on top of that, they use the other animals in the forest as pets, just like we do a dog or a cat. I know some that have a bobcat. I know a couple that come through here that have a cougar. It's very normal for them to have possums and raccoons as pets. They have pets just like we do. So not only are you looking at, you've got food sources, you've got other things that they're going to domesticate and have as a pet as well. And then on top of that, they're going to use the hawks, they're going to use the ravens, they're going to use the blackbirds, whatever, basically the raven, blue jays, whatever kind of birds they get, obviously owls. They use them as watchers. They use this as communication. They use them as the eyes that, they can see what's going on. So all these things are a good indication that they're going to be around. If you're out walking in the woods and you notice that these birds are following you all around, it's not a coincidence. You're being watched. They use all of these animals. So obviously they're going to want to be somewhere where the animals are at. And it's for a lot more than just a food source. But obviously they've got to have food, a lot of it. And if you have foods that they would be eating on, such as the deer, the rabbits, various things of that nature, then they're going to be around.
If they don't come around that area, are they nearby? Are they maybe on a different trail, a different track, maybe a couple miles up the road, or are they usually out of that area completely?
No, they don't usually go too awful far. Even if they get an area where maybe they've hunted it out and it's a dead area because they've hunted it out so much, there's not anything there, which doesn't appear to be the case in your situation. They don't usually go too far. So, you can kind of spread out a little bit. And again, start looking at what are the major predators that come through there. Because even though they can take them out, there's nothing that they can't take out. Whether it's a grizzly or whatever, they can bring it down. But is it something they want to be bothered with all the time? Is there a high enough population where it's a constant threat? They're not going to put their kids in danger any more than we are. If you went and you moved into an area where you have wolves there all the time or coyotes there and you're fearful for your kids, you're going to move. You're not going to stay there. So check out and see, put some trail cams up. Find out what kind of animals are going through that area, whether or not it's a safe area for them, because it's not about whether or not they can kill off the predators. They absolutely can. It's about if there's a high enough concentration, why do they want to be bothered with having to worry about that 24 hours a day? So it's almost like you're going to play amateur detective, and you're going to really not just see what's out and around the area that they're in. You're going to play detective and really get into the nitty gritty and see what's going on there. And if it's still not what you're finding is helpful, spread out a little bit, because they generally don't go too far. It is normal for them every now and then to have to, not that they have to, but for various things within the clan, whether it's, they meet up with other clans to go over things or whatever, they will pop out for a short time, but they always come back. I think the longest I've ever had mine gone were 8 months. And that's been one time out of my entire life they were gone that long.
Wow.
But they come back.
I'm just curious about that.
Yeah.
As we have 3 minutes to go here, I checked my gifting site, and nothing. The one ball had moved, but that could have been anything. It could have been a bear cub or whatever. There's nothing really too worked up over that. But
spread out. My advice would be to spread out into the neighboring areas and see if you pick up any more signs there. I wouldn't give up on that area, because you and I both know it's been a good area for you. You've had some great stuff there. But, spread out a little bit, see if you pick them up anywhere else, if they've moved over a little bit, not too far away. But I would still keep an eye on that area. I really would.
That's a good point. We do have to watch, though, because they did put in on that area some new dirt along the logging road, which meant that probably over winter or after the early spring that they were probably starting to do some logging in that area.
And that would be enough to get them either to move on or at least move away from it temporarily until things had calmed down. So that could be your problem right there. If they think the loggers are coming in, they're not going to want any part of it. You usually get it one of two different ways. Either they get real territorial and they start messing with the logging companies, which I've seen countless times, or they just say, I'm not going to mess with it. We're going to get out of here until it cools off, and then we'll go back. But they generally do come back.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll do. We'll stay in the spot. We'll check it on out, and if we have to advance, we have to advance. I mean, that's just the way it is. I don't think there's an issue with that. I really don't.
And keep me posted. I'm only a phone call away.
Yes. I just wish I had cell phone service in that area.
I know. They have those things that are like a walkie-talkie that you can actually call out to cell phones. And I have a couple different people that I work with that use those. And then I have the app for it so that they can call me when they're out in the woods. And I don't know how expensive they are to obtain, but I really would suggest it. It's great because even in the most remote areas, they can get out. And it's almost like it's a walkie-talkie, but you can text to people and get information like that. And it works really well. And then you have like your point of contacts that you can contact from it. And it's been very helpful for them.
Well, Robin, tell everybody, we got 20 seconds, where they can find your work.
Oh, I'm at www.paranormal-empowerment.com, or you can reach me on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes. Do not go to the account for Robin L. Haynes because you won't get me. Go to Robin Haynes, Haynes, and I answer everybody. Or you can email me at Forest, Forest, people @gmail.com.
Robin Haynes, everybody, coming up next. It's the Dave 101. We got the weird news of the week. Final half hour. Spaced Out Radio is next.
Is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Thank you,
Awesome.
Robin.
No problem. I'm so glad you had Christian on. Isn't he the best?
He is. He's a weirdo.
Love him. He's
a weirdo.
awesome. Yeah, he's a weirdo. That's what makes him so awesome. Him
I
and I are
agree.
doing a conference June 8th. So for the Alien Expo and conference in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. So real excited to do that with him.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I
Yeah,
will
he was-
see you next week, my friend.
All right, beautiful. You take care.
Take care, baby. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Robin Haynes, everybody. It's been a good show. Solid radio show tonight. Solid YouTubing. Don't you think? I think so. I think so. Are we having fun or what? All right, all right, all right. Captain, are you ever going to let me know why you named the ship on my UFO UAP? Know the difference? I'd have to look at that. Let me pull that up. Shouldn't have been named. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Excuse me. Where is it? Go to just find it right now. There it is. Is this ship named? Oh yeah, it looks like it's named. I don't know. What's the name on it? I can't read that. Well, strange guys. The person who drew that and then donated it to me, she put it on there. Necessary dialogue. What do you think of the Carl Nell interview? I thought it was great. I wish he could have been a little bit more upfront with what he knows. I think he held back a lot, but it's another step in the right direction. Stu Effin Gerson, how you doing? We got about 1 minute here. Yeah, we might be able. If the elephants are there, we'll take a look. How about that? I'm in a good mood tonight. I'm all excited. I've already pre-ordered Lou's book. I've already pre-ordered. We're trying to line up an interview right now. Thank you to all of our super chatters. T-Bone with a hat trick, Kira, Rough Rider, Vaughn, Parababes, Necessary, FaZe Will, Greg, Joe, W. Decker, and Gizmo. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with the next half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's the final half hour of the show, and we're about to get into the Dave 101. Does I feel like amazing tonight? Yeah, I do. I hope you've enjoyed this show so far. If you've missed most of it, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night we say, get off my lawn. It's a Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave! Dave, D-A-V-E!
All right, we're going to get into the fact that Lou Elizondo, the former head of the ATIP program at the Pentagon, has a new book coming out. It's called Imminent. And this is a book that we've been hearing about for the last couple of years. And one of the reasons why Elizondo went silent on the world, because he was writing his book, getting it published, and finally, all of us UFO weirdos get a chance to pick it up. And it's a very, very interesting book. It's called Imminent: Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. I've already back-ordered mine. It'll be here on August 20th or 21st, somewhere around there. So we're going to read what it's about here. It says, the former head of the Pentagon program responsible for investigation of UFOs, known now as unidentified anomalous phenomena, reveals long-hidden truths with profound implications for not only national security, but our understanding of the universe. So here we go. We're going to get the autobiography of Luis Elizondo. We're going to find out about his Army career. We're going to find out about his career with the agencies, from Guantanamo Bay to chasing down aliens for the Pentagon. And I'm going to tell you, I stand neither on the left or right about Lou Elizondo. My job is to call it down the middle. Has he been a good guy to me? Yes, he has. Has he done interviews with this show? Yes, he has. Have I talked to him on the phone or texted him before? Yes, I have. Why do I say that? Because as a journalist, it doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree with the person. Your job is to call it down the middle, which is something we don't see a lot of in this field, even from people who call themselves seasoned reporters. However, with Elizondo, this book is causing a lot of controversy, and it's still months away from being left out. There are people out there already claiming that this is a book of fiction because they're reporting in the New York Post by Stephen Greenstreet says that Elizondo never ran the ATIP program. It was never called ATIP. It was nicknamed ATIP, and all the information he has received from people at the Pentagon says he never worked there. Other people have found different areas of Luis Elizondo's story to be suspect, whether it's the Black Vault with John Greenwald, whether it's Jeremy McGowan, or others in the program. There are many people out there who listen to podcast shows, especially UFO shows, who believe that Elizondo is a phony, a plant at best, to try and build people up, to try and plainly state that there are aliens visiting this planet. They are a threat to our humanity on this planet, and we got to figure it out. And they don't believe a word he is saying. So when we look at all of this, there is the side of Lou that people love. They love the fact that he is someone who worked on the inside. They believe that he is someone who is trying to get the truth out and helping government people, from Kristen Gillibrand to Tim Burchett, doesn't matter Democrat or Republican, or what country indeed. They are trying to put together a show of support for Elizondo, for helping build the bridge and open the eyes of a lot of politicians who are elected, wondering where the money goes. Because we do know that the military-industrial complex has one thing that is unmatched and unparalleled by anyone in the United States, any group in the United States, any budget in the United States, and that is an open checkbook. And they're not really accounting for what that money is being used for. Black projects, probably, but I do not believe for a second that it costs $58,000 for a hammer or $20 million for a brand new fridge on Air Force One. Now, don't believe that at all. I'm telling you, Frigidaire made out big time on that one. $20 million for one fridge. Does that even make sense? Could you imagine in your home having a $20 million fridge? Look, we know that Elizondo is a highly controversial figure in this field. But you know what? It's our job as people who are going to be interviewing him, and I believe we're going to be one of them, because I am in talks with their publicist right now. And I can't wait to set a date for this. We want to ask him some questions. We're going to ask him about the book, why it took so long, where this is going, what is the purpose of this? Is he naming names? Is he going to name stories of his own encounters? Because I believe, even though he's never really come out with it, I believe he's an experiencer. I really do. Now, that might be because on one of our shows where we interviewed him, I asked him, have you seen aliens? Have you been face-to-face with aliens? And his response was, I've seen some very interesting things. Didn't deny it. That told me that he has encounters. He's got aliens. Look, Elizondo is going to come out. He's going to be absolutely polarized for this story, this book. And yes, guess what, people? People who call him grifter are going to be saying, yeah, but he's making money off of his book. If somebody wanted to pay me for my story, I would have no problem cashing that check. No problem whatsoever. Somebody paying you for your life story is not grifting. And the UFO community is going to go haywire over that, because the one thing they love to hate is their grifters. I'm hoping that Elizondo, after this book has been edited and reviewed and peer-reviewed by people at the Pentagon, to make sure he's not saying anything that goes against his NDAs, I hope that he actually tells us some stories, that we could get closer to the truth, and that he tells us about his own personal, unique experiences. Otherwise, well, I spent $50 Canadian for nothing. I want to see him really open up. We've seen the business side of Lou Elizondo for a while. I want to know what the human side of Elizondo is like. We know he loves his wife. We know he loves his daughters. We know that he's a big family man. We know maybe we'll find out what truly happened with Tom DeLonge and the To the Stars Academy. That would be a good start, wouldn't it? Because that didn't end very well. I hope Elizondo really opens up to the fact that people want to hear his story. He's going to make a lot of money off of this. He's probably already made a lot of money by selling his story. And I really hope that people around the world get what we want, and that is information that we can look up, that we can decompress, and that we can actually look into to see if it is real. Now, I don't expect a choose your own adventure book here. I don't expect a book that has a lot of pictures. It is going to be his words. And this is where people in this community who have a short temper for story time are going to flip their lid once again. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with what he is going to say, as long as he provides us information. Look, I'm just as curious about what he knows as well. I'm not going to get mad about it like some people already are. I'm not going to be disturbed by, the fact that he's going to make claims and there's not going to be any proof. It's another trust me, bro type situation. If it's a nothing burger book, well, it's not like I could scream and yell and say, pay me my money back. It'll go collect dust on my shelf with a few other books that I have that I will never read again, like Communion. But Communion's a different story. That one just freaked the hell out of me. It really did. I hope Elizondo goes more into UFOs and less into Guantanamo Bay. I hope he goes more into why he's doing what he's doing as a whistleblower than he is going to talk about his military career. And the best part about it is, once again, I hope he names names that we haven't heard before, names that we can look up on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google, and check out to see if they actually exist and what they actually do. It's going to give us some leads, I'm hoping, that we can push this story further. After all, that's what you all want. You want this UFO community, good people, whether it's Thomas Fessler, whether it's Joe Murgia, whether it's Matt Ford, whether it's us, whether it's George Knapp, whether it's Daniel Otis, whether it's a number of us. You want us to push the ball further. And hopefully, Elizondo allows us that opportunity to do so. And you're right. It could be a nothing burger book. It could be something that we are not going to get much of, because we have to remember, we're never going to know how much of his story was redacted. I will ask him. I have no problem asking him that whatsoever. How much of your story was redacted by those higher up than you? And I hope he tells us. I hope he tells us a lot of things. I don't want to know his dogs' names. I know he has German Shepherds. Good enough for me. German Shepherds are a great dog, but it doesn't tell us a story of what is going on. We have a right to know. Maybe not his personal accounts, but after all we've been through, I think he owes it to us a little bit. I really do. I think he owes it to us to give us some juice. We're thirsty for the juice. We want the juice to come out. And hopefully we do not have dry mouth after this. Elizondo is going to be a man on a mission, is what I'm hoping. I think he's going to do a lot of interviews because it's going to help him sell more books. I think he's going to be on major news networks. I think he's going to be in the newspapers. I think he's probably going to even get an article in GQ or maybe even Playboy. I don't know. Does Playboy even exist anymore since Hef died? I'm not sure. But with that, I hope they ask him some tough questions. We need to ask some tough questions. He's been silent for too long. And this isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card just because you got a book coming out. We're going to give you the airtime, but Lou, you need to answer some questions. And that doesn't matter whether you're on a show like ours, a show that's bigger with George Knapp, or one that is smaller like the many others out there whom he will speak with. Elizondo is an approachable person. Question is, how approachable will he be on his own autobiography? And that is your Dave 101.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
All right, let's get right to it here. Got some weird stories for you. Barry Sawchuk doesn't usually concern himself with space or the final frontier. But when he found a giant piece of debris in his field, Sawchuk said he was shocked to learn it was likely part of a rocket. Not every day you go out into your field and find space junk, Sawchuk said with a laugh in an interview from a front seat of his tractor. Sawchuk, who farms with his 3 sons near Ituna, northeast of Regina, Saskatchewan, was checking out the moisture in his fields at the end of April when he spotted the item. As he got closer, he became confused. It looked like a burnt-up piece of carbon fiber with aluminum honeycomb in between, he said. There also appeared to be hydraulic cylinder in the debris. It didn't look like anything his family had ever come across in their property before. We knew it came from the sky because it couldn't get there by itself, he said. Sawchuk said one of his sons did some research and figured it must be space debris. Maybe they got aliens. You think he ever thought of that? I don't know. Well, photos of the discovery made their way to Samantha Lawler, an associate professor of astronomy at the University of Regina. This did cause great conversation and fun with the family. They did an interview with a local newspaper about the find and its possible connections to infinity and beyond. That's definitely space junk, Lawler has said. She went on to say the photos and information about where it was found and her colleague Jonathan McDowell, an astrophysicist at Harvard who tracks space launches. Looking at the data, he determined that the farmer's find was likely linked to a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft that had returned to Earth in February with 4 passengers from the International Space Station. McDowell posted on social media that the re-entry trajectory for the trunk section of the craft passed within a few kilometers of where the large object was found in the field. SpaceX did not respond to the request for a comment. The Transportation and Safety Board of Canada, which never talks about UFOs, confirmed there were no reports of aircraft that could explain the object. Lawler said the SpaceX Dragon is a capsule used to send people to the space station. Its trunk is an unpressurized cargo space. It's attached to the capsule and provides power during the flight while it's on its station. The trunk is ejected before the ship enters the atmosphere, where it's expected to burn up, but sometimes it doesn't. Nope, not this time. I don't know about you. I think he's got some alien junk there. Probably SpaceX, but it's more fun to say aliens. A Brazilian woman is accused of stalking a doctor in his family for 5 years, and now she's been placed in police custody. What happened here? Well, let's find out. Kawara Welch, 23, began harassing the man after he treated her for depression in 2018. The doctor, who kept his identity under wraps, said in an interview, he noted that Welch was a model, according to her Instagram bio, that is, would wait near the hospital he worked at, located in the city of Ituataba, and would follow him once his shifts were over. She said that it wasn't a coincidence that no one saved someone else's life so many times out of the blue, that there was something more to it, the doctor alleged. He also said that the woman broke into his clinic and chased him several times outside his office. Welch eventually got a hold of the phone number, or his phone number, and bombarded him with calls and emails, according to the doctor. She even allegedly threatened the physician, saying she would tell his son that they were romantically involved. She had access to my cell phone and started sending really disturbing messages and photos, tying a rope around her neck, saying goodbye to me, he recounted. I panicked. The doctor said he changed his phone number several times, but she always managed to get his updated contact information. She ended up in a special situation, sending me 1,300 messages in one day, he recalled, and calls She sent more than 500 calls in one day, a single day. Well, this girl's got problems. The doctor filed 42 police reports with Welsh, even citing a document with the district attorney's office in 2020 that she would not contact him, but she just couldn't help herself. In 2022, she allegedly spun out of control and broke into his office while he was treating a patient and allegedly assaulted the doctor's wife. Following year, Welch confronted the man again. She was arrested for assault and stealing a cell phone, but was released a week later on bail. In March of this year, a judge approved that she be detained over the theft and for ignoring the restraining order. Yeah, this case is going to go on and on. A New Zealand man has been fined for attempting to touch and body slam, yes, body slam, a killer whale. Why? Video of the incident was posted on Instagram earlier this year, but someone shared the footage with New Zealand's Department of Conservation, prompting an investigation, according to the release that they put out. The clip shows a 50-year-old Auckland man standing on the edge of a boat off the coast of Devonport as two orcas swim beside the vessel. The man then jumps off the boat and appears to try and land on one of the two whales. "I touched it," he shouted gleefully, then asked others on the boat, who could be heard laughing and cheering, if they captured the footage. The DOC shared the video on its Facebook page, noting that the footage shows what appears to be a deliberate effort to touch or body slam the orca. Now, here I was hoping for a squared circle, a wrestling mat, turnbuckles, and maybe a power slam off the top rope. That didn't happen. No. The man added the fact, who just does this? You know what I'm saying? Who does this? The man, by the way, added that he himself was slammed with a $600 infringement. Yeah, who does that? We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X. Hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
don't make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Whew. Good show, everybody. Good show. Good job, everyone. All right. Let's get this editing stuff going. We'll get to the animals here in a second. Let me just get this loaded up here. All right, got that started. And let's go check out Rosie's pan first. See what's happening here. Oh, nothing in Rosie's pan right now. All right, let's try something else here. See what's happening in Namibia. Boy, no animals there either. Let's go to the next watering hole. It's a bird. All right, let's see what else we got here. See what else we got here. Let's go live here. See what's live. See what's happening in Victoria Falls. Bunch of storks. Storks eating fish. All right, let's go back here. I'm looking, guys. I'm looking for us. Looking for some elephants. Try Rosie's pan again. See if anything's hopped up there. No. Let's go to Oldonia Lodge. They usually have something good. My God, that's nothing either. We are like batting zero tonight. Literally batting zero. By the way, it's my birthday. Yeah, I'm 51 today. Try that watering hole. That's nothing either, just a bird. Let's go here. All right, nothing in Namibia. I'm looking. Nothing in there. Tau. Let's go to Tau. Oh, we got drunk wildebeests. Yeah, we got drunk wildebeests and zebras. Thank you, everybody. Hold on, let me just pull this up here for you. There we go. Go like that. There we go. See, look at them drunk wildebeests around this area. Watch them on the left. They're just all of a sudden going to go nut bar. There's the zebra. He's like, screw this. These drunken buffoons here are just going to cause me way too much trouble. It's exactly what they're thinking. All right. You know, the funny part about it is I don't feel a day over area. I don't feel a day over 35. My mental state is still like between like 33 and 36. God, that was a good time. Very good time. Oh, it was such a fun time. I want to go back. You know, I used to think that the 20s were cool, but the 30s, they were great. 40s were great too, but in a different way. My mid-30s, it was bloody rock star. It really was. Thank you, Paramarv. I will say this, though. The older I get, the more beautiful women in their 40s and 50s are. It's kind of cool. Never realized that when I was a young gaffer. All right. Just cut this out here. See if that's correct.
All the cats are still outside because it's still nice out.
Oh, yes. All right, here we go, everybody. Let's cut that piece out. So I talked over it. Like that. Like this. Look at those drunken stupors. The Doug Shelby. That's right, Flat Six. How you doing, buddy? The Doug Shelby. Just like the Ohio State University. Oh, for God's sakes. I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited. I get to see my grandson later today. I haven't seen him in months. Tomorrow night on the show, considering it's my birthday show, and I get to have anybody I want on it. Grant Cameron, my idol, my mentor in this field, they are coming. They are coming. Well, he is coming, I should say. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night with the legend, the legendary Grant Cameron. Oh, look, we got a crocodile. Look at that. We rarely get crocodiles on here. That's pretty cool. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you. There's a big croc. What's that above there? Is that another croc laying down up there? Or is that like a bird? The hell is that? Is that like a duck chewing on its wing there? What's that? That is a bird. The one I wanted. Sweet Robbie G, what did you do here? Changed him up. I didn't even notice. Eight custom layouts. Okay. Rob is so much smarter at this than I am. He really is. All right, everybody. Big thank you to Joe W. Decker, T-Bone with a hat trick, Gizmo, Greg in Thailand, FaZe Will, Necessary Dialogue, Parababes, Von Patrick, Rough Rider, who wears a watermelon on his head at this time of year, Kira, and T-Bone again. T-Bone again. Thank you for the love and support of your super chats. Greatly appreciate it. Don't forget Grant Cameron tomorrow night. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. Follow us on our social media platforms. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Much love to you.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.